Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Film is Okie Dokie, where every other week we sit down, we chat for a bit, then we go watch a movie, and then we talk about the movie and determine whether or not it is Okie Dokie. I am Tommy, joined as always by my co-host, CJ. CJ, what's up?
I think I have like a bone spur in my mouth.
Wow. And we're also joined this week by our guest host, Alex, winner of our Oscars pool.
Woo, that's me. Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Alex. Welcome. So you have a bone spur in your mouth?
Yeah, how does that work exactly?
Isn't that just like a tooth?
It hurts though.
Is it like in
Okay,
your
so
throat, kind of? Like, because you can get like these weird like
is your
rock
throat part of your
things
mouth?
in your tonsils?
I think those are tonsil stones.
Yeah, is it a tonsil stone?
No, it's a bone spur.
Mm.
So
Now,
okay, Tommy, go ahead.
I think you asked a really interesting question. Is your throat in your mouth?
It's kind of at the back of the mouth. I think the tonsils are like the threshold, right? The tonsils are like the gatekeeper of throat and mouth.
Okay, where does your esophagus end? Is it at the tonsils?
In your duodenum or your stomach, I think.
At the tip of my dick.
Well, okay, yes, it ends in your stomach. But what about the other end? Because we're talking about the mouth.
It ends at the backside of the tonsil. The tonsil is the start of the esophagus, I think.
And you're a physician, right?
I'm a doctor of sorts, yes.
Okay, good.
I would say, though...
The second doctor we've had on this show.
Oh, wow, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first one was a doctor of music. He loves to tell people that. Go on.
I mean, I feel like that's more of a thing that's more of a defense mechanism. Doctors of music or education or something like that have adopted. Because if you tell somebody, oh, yeah, I'm a doctor, they're like, oh, I got this thing going on in my shoulder. And they're like, instead of having to have this awkward thing of like, yeah, that's not, I just know about Mozart. You know, you hit them with, I'm a doctor of music. So nobody's like, you know, saying like, oh, well, which I'm sure has its own like annoying, like everybody's not like, oh, yeah, my shoulder, you know, you get the, oh, well, what key is this? Oh,
yeah.
You know, like you get that as the doctor of music instead of the like weird kind of, oh, I've got this medical thing going on kind of questions.
You know, this reminds me of a bit that I've always wanted to do, and I've actually, when I was considered going to get my PhD to be able to do the bit, like if you're on an airplane and someone's like, oh my God, is there a doctor here? I could be like, me. And then they're like, help him. I'm like, oh, no. I work with chemicals.
I'm a doctor of chemistry, actually. They're like, well, that's good because he's turning into a gas.
Ooh.
I was actually on a plane one time when they screamed out, is anyone a doctor?
Mm.
That happened to me one time. I was on a plane going to Florida, and I was in the window, and my friend was in the middle seat. And as the door was about to close, this lady gets wheeled onto the airplane and gets put on an aisle seat.
That's never a good sign.
And as soon as the plane takes off, she starts to die.
They brought her onto the plane to die?
Basically, the second she
what
got
if
on
that
the
was
plane,
her wish?
she started
what was
dying.
That? It was like her dying wish was to be on an airplane when it happened.
So the worst part was the whole flight, my friend had to move because the doctor had to sit in the middle seat the whole flight and attend to her. But then the worst part was...
Hold on. I think I might have missed something.
Wait.
You're in the row with the dead woman.
Yeah, hold on.
sitting next to... Yeah.
You buried the fucking lead there so much.
I didn't! I said I was in the window.
Jamie,
my buddy
play that back. We need to know if you mentioned that or not. Because you said something about they wheeled her onto the plane and put her in an aisle seat. You did not say
in
the
our
aisle seat of the row I was sitting in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my aisle seat.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
So she's right there. So then my friend has to move because the doctor is in the middle seat. And
so
my
did
buddy's
he get the doctor's seat? Was the doctor in first class prior to this happening? Because that would be
this was like a
an
JetBlue
ultimate
flight
for your friend. Okay,
I
so
think
it's
he got
basically
an
like riding
aisle
a
out of the
city
deal.
bus. It's like riding a city bus in the sky. Okay.
He got an aisle seat out of the deal, which I think was an upgrade, but then he had to sit next to the doctor's kids.
So it's kind of a wash.
Gross. Doctor kids, gross.
Yeah, they're not
At that
sterile.
point, it's like, look, I'm your daddy now, dude. What you want? You want another soda? Have that. Hey, can we get another soda for my son here?
What was the name of that skull? I Would Have Been Your Daddy from Halo 3.
Oh, I have no clue. It's been so long.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it was an abbreviation, right?
yeah, I Would Have Been Your Daddy.
Yeah, I remember that
IWB.
now.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the worst part was after so she lived. That's not the worst part.
That was the worst part?
Well, kinda.
How
So
is
we
that
had
the
to
worst
wait
part?
there. So we land, right? And then you know how you go to the gate and then they bring out the jetway and people start leaving? Well, nobody could leave the airplane until an ambulance and EMTs came on the plane and took her off.
Right.
So, like, we had to wait for an ambulance to get there. The ambulance was not waiting there. And then they couldn't get the, what do you call that? The bed with the roller.
Gurney.
Stretcher?
I think it's a stretcher when they're alive.
I think it's a gurney. It could be a gurney. Maybe the gurney part is maybe a gurney is manually hefted, not
You know
on
what?
wheels.
You are a physician, so I'll defer to your judgment. The gurney, they had to get the gurney out for the stiff.
The stiff. Okay,
I
that's
thought she
not
was
the
alive.
proper medical term. Yeah, and you also said she lived, so
She did live. I'm just surrounded by people that almost die.
that's good to
Okay,
know.
so that took like an hour. Remember that, Tommy, I've told you this. I don't know if I told it on the podcast, but I was at a flea market one time, and this lady died on our table.
At your flea market table?
Yeah, on top of our table, yeah. She pulled up a chair to sit down, and then she died. And then, like, I was, like, screaming for help, and everyone's, like, got quiet. And then her daughter's like, no, she's fine. She's just diabetic. I'm like, lady, she's not breathing.
She's turning blue.
And I'm like, she's 100 years old. She's basically powdered milk. Like, we need to get this lady ambulance. So someone called 911. The whole time, the lady's like, we don't need an ambulance. She just needs some sugar. She's just picking her mom up. Her mom hits the floor. I'm like, she's dead, lady. She's
Yeesh.
dead.
Oh my goodness.
And then they revived her. I'm like, and then no one would buy her video games because she died on them.
Well, but she came back to life on them. That should make them like,
No, she came back to life on the floor.
oh.
So here's something I was just thinking about. I was thinking about a good word you rather for this show.
Would
to
you rather
bring-
die
to bring to the
at
two
a
of
flea
you.
market or die on an airplane?
Would you rather not sell a video game all day because a woman died on them, or have to deal with creeps that are like, "Oh, so she died on these, huh?" Like, which would you rather have to endure? Just out of curiosity.
My brother was my business partner at the time. His answer was 100%. He would sell it. He would sell the lot.
He
to
would
the
deal with
creepy-
the perverts.
Yeah,
Okay.
you mark it up.
Oh yeah, he would have marked it up.
That's
There was
that's
that was-
actually a good business move. That's actually a solid.
Yeah, I
play.
wouldn't do it.
Stonks, baby.
Tommy, what about you?
What for which?
Which one would you do?
Would
I would, like I said, I would have marked them up.
Yeah.
200% surcharge.
No, it's not this.
I
No,
would-
the question is, would you rather have to deal with the weirdo that's like, oh, so
Oh,
somebody
the rather?
died on
Oh,
these,
I would
or would you
yeah, I
rather
would rather
not
that.
sell a video game all day?
Yeah, I would tariff the fuck out of those video games.
Yeah.
for them.
That's fair.
They got to pay for the being weird.
Mhm.
That was the same day.
They gotta pay
that
for
I met,
being
like,
weird. That's the next film is Okie Dokie bumper sticker. After have you been to the deli?
The 13-year-old that was the furry. That was the same day as the woman that died.
Wow, you have had
Yeah.
so many, just
That was one day.
dare I say, incredible experiences in this one life.
It's sad. I don't want them. It's sad because people don't think I'm telling the truth. But honestly, I would be the best author in the world if these were all fictional.
Right. It's like you can't
I
make
wouldn't
this
be-
stuff up, you know.
Yeah, the kid had a butt plug tail, and he was a raccoon. He had like a raccoon skin hat in August in this like high school gym, and his dad was this big corn-fed motherfucker, overalls and
Mm.
a straw hat. And they were trying to buy our Pokemon game, and my brother found out that the kid had a butt plug tail, and he confronted his dad about it, and the dad was a big burly dude. He's like, "Hey, you're supposed to tell anyone about it." I'm like, "Yeah, 'cause it's weird. He's 13. It's gross." They make ones that are Velcro, I think.
I just can't believe you have all these experiences. Truly,
You've been with me.
I know, and I can't I can't believe it.
Remember when when I went to visit you? We were at the Chicago gift shop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
this was just a Midwestern dude being friendly, in my opinion.
No. Because
I want to hear CJ's take on this.
so he bought a sweater, a very nice sweater, by the way. It looks very nice on you. He bought a sweater. Okay, goes up, guy pays, and he walks away. Okay, nothing. He didn't say anything to you. Okay, I go up. I have my magnets because I collect magnets when I go out of town.
That's a perfectly fine, normal hobby. That's what I do that too.
Yeah.
We do that too.
So I go up. He goes, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Oh, living the dream, one day at a time." Then the guy looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, just another day in paradise." I was like, "Right." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm an unpaid actor." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "Yeah, in the previous generation, saddled us with debt, so couldn't go to college." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he just kept going and going and going. I'm like, "What?" And Tommy's standing 5 feet from me, and I walk out of the store. I'm like, "Did you hear any of that?" He's going on about how he's they're paid actors. How about unpaid actors? Tariffs, this and that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm buying magnets. You didn't do this to the lady in front of Tommy. You didn't do this to Tommy. Why me?
I mean,
I was in Chicago for 5 minutes. I'm waiting for my bag at the carousel. This guy comes up to me. I recognize you. You take this flight all the time. I've never taken this flight before in my life. I'm like, sure. He goes, "Yeah, I've seen you around before." I'm like, "Oh,
he recognized you from the deli."
And then he's like, "What brings you to town?" I'm like, "Business.
Big pots over here.
Business trip." And then I'm like, "What about you?" He goes, "Oh, no, not business or pleasure. I'm putting my mom to sleep." I'm like, "What the fuck? We're at the baggage carousel."
You can get legally human euthanasia is legal in Illinois.
Pulling the plug.
Yeah, there you go.
They're gonna let Jesus take the wheel. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
that's not normal.
It's almost like you're the main character of like a David Lynch like film with these sorts of things happening.
I'm George Costanza.
You know what's a good story is CJ. Talk about what happened when you sat on the plane.
Okay, so I get in the plane and I sit down in my seat. And there's a guy there, and he's reading a book. Okay. I was cutting it real close, so the doors were closing behind me. So I get down, I put my bag up, and I'm like, "Guy's reading a book." He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Okay."
That's his first mistake.
And then he's like, "I wrote this book," and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's
why
cool.
are you reading it?"
I said, "Why are you reading the book you wrote?" He said, "Oh, it's a book about my life." I said, "You're reading a book about your own life that you wrote?" And he was just like, "Most people are just happy for me. Most people are just cool. Or most people are just impressed." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So then I look at the cover.
I owe you my adoration because you wrote a fucking book. Like, big deal, dude. Okay.
So then I look at the cover, and it says Valentino Rossi. The guy sitting next to me is like this, over the hill guy. He's got no hair on top, but he's got the ponytail. Ugh. He's like white, kind of like old golf man build. And Valentino Rossi is like an Italian motorcycle racer. And I'm like, you're not Valentino Rossi. That's not a picture of you. And he's like, "Fine, are you happy now?" And then he just stopped talking. He didn't talk to me again for the whole flight. I'm like, what was this? What was this? Were you trying to impress me?
Were you just doing a bit to for your own amusement? Like, what is this?
What's the bit?
Right. Well, the bit is that he convinces innocent passersby that he's an Italian motorbike racer who wrote a book about his own life.
He looks like he got fired from a pizza place for eating the pizza.
He may have. We don't know that he didn't.
They're fucking the garlic nuts. I landed and I had 2 stories to tell them as soon as they picked me up from the airport.
That's too many stories for one flight.
It's too many stories, really. I mean, I think that.
Yeah, true.
I think that
air travel should relatively be uneventful.
Uneventful, yes.
That's fair.
I didn't get my dick grabbed this time, which was nice.
Let's go.
I mean, unless you're
going
trying to
home.
get your dick grabbed, in which case
Yeah,
it's a bummer.
They don't do a good job.
That's fair.
So
That's also true.
On the way there, I was like going through. They ended up putting me through the what do you call it? What's that
The
other
enhanced
line that
search?
I'm
Pre-check?
pre-check? Yeah, I'm not allowed to go in that one, but they were so busy that they started putting people through the pre-check line. Because it was packed, and there was like 6 flights leaving out of my small local airport, and so I go through the pre-check line, and I'm putting my stuff on the belt, and everyone's real nice. But I told the lady up front, like, oh yeah, like as a joke, I was like, I always get my dick grabbed. She's like, you always get your dick grabbed? I'm like, yeah, but now that I'm just going through the metal detector, like that's not gonna happen. So I get back there, I put my stuff, I go through the metal detector, and then she's back there, like with gloves, and she's like, excuse me, sir, you've been randomly chosen for
Getting your hog honked?
You've been randomly chosen to be searched. Would you like a private room? And I'm like, no. And then she grabbed me. And then on the way back, it actually flagged me again. And the guy was just like, can you just pull your pants up for me, please? And I did, and I got through. But for some reason with my baggy pants, it's just like, it literally outlines my junk. And it's like, nope, nope, can't go through.
Wow.
But otherwise, I had a fantastic time in Chicago. Tommy's a wonderful host.
Of course I am. Thank you.
Yeah.
What is the Artie Bucco warm and convivial host?
There you go. I loved Artie in The Sopranos, but I got tired of his shit by the end.
I think that might kind of be by design a little bit. Like, you're supposed to kind of eventually be like, oh, this guy's sort of annoying. I feel like they kind of hit a high point with him when he's got the rifle and he's like pointing it at Tony. And then it's like all of that drama and like emotion and intensity just is gone from his character ever after that, which sort of felt weird. I don't know. We're quickly devolving this into a Sopranos podcast, but I can't remember if that's before or after he gets scammed by the French guy with the Armagnac. And then before or after the Armagnac deal falls through and he tries to kill himself with the pills.
Yeah. I have this thing where like my favorite characters always die.
Sure.
And I think that's, at first I thought I was cursed, but then I'm like, oh yeah, they make likable characters that die. That's what they do.
Right.
So like my favorite character in The Sopranos was in season 1, I really liked Mikey Palmisi.
God, if he'd have just been able to hold on for another couple seasons, that character would have been iconic.
I like Jimmy Altieri. I guess Soprano spoilers. They both get whacked, and then I'm like, I guess Big Pussy's kind of cool. And then spoiler alert, Big Pussy gets it. I'm like, God damn it! All right, like I went to see Phantom Menace, and for some reason, I didn't. It was not when it was in theaters. I think it was a middle school dance. They played it in the gym on like a TV, or no, like on a big screen, and they projected it.
That's an interesting.
It was the auditorium
for the school dance.
So the dance was in the gym, and then the auditorium was playing a movie, and then the cafeteria was open.
In here. Just come over here, and we know you don't want to be here, so we're gonna make this a little better.
Yeah. So we had the movie, and
that, honestly,
the dance ended before the movie ended, and so I was like, man, I really like Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm like super excited to watch Attack of the Clones. And then I'm like, oh my God, why do all my favorite characters die? So there you go.
That's so funny. Well, I can't wait to I'm not saying this to transition into the Bikeriders because we got ways to cover before then.
True.
I can't wait to find out who your favorite in the Bikeriders will be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna
die. I'm gonna make a note right now. Does CJ's favorite character end up dying?
Like, what movies have we watched? Do you have a list in front of you?
Yes. 1 second. I'll look at that.
I'm trying to think. Do my favorite characters die?
All right. I'm gonna run through movies that we watched where people died.
Okay.
Jurassic Park.
My
Did your
favorite character was
The lawyer?
Laura Dern.
Lord, she was fine. The lawyer.
That was the first person I could think of that dies in that movie.
How about Die Hard?
No, Argyle's my favorite character in Die Hard.
Chicken Run?
Oh, nobody dies in that movie.
Excuse me? Did you forget?
Oh yeah, right. They bombed the thing.
And the chicken who got her head cut off.
Oh right.
This is Erasure. How
I
about
try to
Tombstone?
discover. Doc Holliday does die.
He
That's
does
one.
Armageddon.
Fuck that movie. I don't have any favorite
What?
characters in that movie.
Wow. How about Heathers?
The main Heather. What's the main Heather? No. Yeah, I like her.
Winona Ryder?
Yeah.
You're fine then. How about Wild Wild West? Did your favorite character die?
Get fucked. Move on.
How about Gladiator?
Yeah. The Russell Crowe guy.
All right. V for Vendetta. Did your favorite character die?
Does the girl die?
Evie?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
All right, then she lives.
Wasn't
All right.
Gary
how about
Oldman
we got
the Mask?
Gary Oldman in V for Vendetta? Wait, what?
Or was it Ralph Fiennes? I can't remember who played the dude in the mask in that movie.
Frickin' what's his face from
Hugo Weaving?
The Matrix? Yeah,
That's
Hugo
right.
Weaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew I'd get there eventually.
Okay, hold on a second. Both of you are
It's also not
like,
Ralph.
Yeah. I was about to say, both of you get his name wrong.
No, I get it right.
It's Rafe. It's not
No.
Ray.
Motherfucker.
It's Rafe.
I told you it was Rafe.
No, you spelled it Ray, and I corrected your spelling.
They
'cause
call
he spells
him
it like
Ray.
Ralph.
They call him Ray.
No, they call him
It's
Rafe.
a nickname.
They call him Rafe.
Who's Rafe? What the fuck are we talking about? Sorry.
Ray
Ralph.
Fiennes.
There's nobody named Ralph Fiennes. His name is Rafe Fiennes.
Okay, hold on. I need to look this up.
But they call him Ray as a nickname.
They call him Rafe. Rafe
I
Fiennes. 'Cause-
literally
yeah.
Dude,
I'm
I
looking at Wikipedia
disproved
right now.
you
It says
that
Rafe
fucking
Fiennes.
night. I disproved you that night. I was correct in
Yeah,
text.
you still,
I have
you
the
still
receipt.
spelled it wrong. You spelled
I
it
was
Ray.
not wrong. I
You spelled
said
it
it was
Ray.
a nickname.
Ray.
I've never seen it spelled Ray.
Here's the thing. Hold
You're-
on. Can
you're
I just say
actually-
something real quick?
Hold on, you hush. You're actually burned a hole in my pocket right now because I literally sent you proof that his nickname is Ray.
Let me.
If
let me
you're
pull
saying
up our
it
text.
It was
phonetically,
in the group
Rafe-
chat.
Rafe Fiennes and Ray Fiennes, it's like the same.
My argument isn't that his name is Ray. It's not Raymond Fiennes. I'm saying that
no, that's what I'm saying is that I originally corrected you because you spelled it Ray like it was Raymond.
Now
Can
you're
we just
backtracking.
agree that the English,
No.
like, just take a good name
It's his nickname.
like Ralph and just fuck it up by pronouncing it Rafe? Like, if his name was spelled R-A-F-E, like, that's fine. It's Rafe, but it's
I have
brother,
the receipts.
R-A-L-P-H is pronounced
It's
Ralph.
gonna be a video podcast real soon if you keep pulling shit like this.
where did it go? Yeah, here we go. I would like to submit my proof to
Put it in the thing.
I'm putting it in the thing.
No, that's not
Yeah.
the proof.
Yeah, and then
That's
that's
a
what I'm saying.
letterbox
You spelled it
review.
Ray. You spelled it Ray. And
First
I
of
corrected
all-
you in the comments saying Rafe.
First of all, how dare you post that? Second of all, it was in the group chat with us where I explained it's his nickname.
Did you give him that nickname?
No.
I haven't seen anyone call him Ray R-A-Y
Well,
online.
yeah, you notice what he's not doing? Looking in our group chat. I'll go look.
Which group chat? The one with
I
me,
think
you,
it's
and
in
Jade?
the text. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm looking Rafe and Ray and Fines and nothing's coming up.
You deleted it.
I didn't delete it. Wouldn't this be something that you were proving? Like, so you would have been the one who sent it?
I have a
I'm
question
looking.
about this review of the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about movies released 10 years ago that you are not a fan of, CJ? Oh, never mind. I read the rest of the sentence. You're fine.
The second part of the
second, the part after the parenthetical, and despite the fact it was released 10 years ago, I was like, what? It's like, I really do like this movie, despite the fact it was released 10 years ago. I thought there was like a period there, and I was like, fuck does that difference make? but I'm just an idiot. My reading comprehension skills are garbage.
I'm waiting for this search to culminate in something.
Before we are, just to kind of keep things moving here, I kind of feel, and this is just my own personal thing, that like Wes Anderson, I feel like has kind of worn out his stylistic welcome a little bit. It's like
I think his most recent movie is his best one.
the new one that's coming out, or Asteroid City?
No, yeah, the one that hasn't come out yet. That's my favorite.
Hey, I don't know. Listen, maybe because of
Asteroid
this
City.
podcast, you're on some sort of screeners list. I don't know. Shit, you could be part of the Editors Guild for all I know.
Oh, could you imagine if we got on a screeners list? What? Okay,
So-
starting the campaign to get Okie Dokie into the Academy for voting.
Back that
What, like
1,000%.
for your consideration?
Yeah, let's get onto the
You
consideration
get the
list.
screeners. You'll get screeners. So here's the thing.
Okay.
As a kid growing up, family moved into the house 2 doors down from ours. Probably when I was like 13 or 14. They had like an infant son. Guy was an attorney. Wife stay-at-home mom. Turns out she was a member of the Directors Guild. So she would get screeners. So my sister would go over there and babysit and just like watch movies that like either were still in theaters or like weren't even out yet, almost on DVD, because this gal had the screeners because she was part of the guild and would vote in the awards and stuff. Some of her credits include such great films as Castaway. She also worked on Congo. I sort of punished this poor woman at my sister's like high school graduation party, and was like, or college maybe, I don't remember, but it was at some event we were having at my parents' house, and she was there, and I was like, yo, you worked on fucking Congo? Like, what was that like? Like how...
The Michael Crichton movie?
Yes. With fucking Delroy Lindo and fucking Tim Curry and the gorilla and the whole thing, and I remember being like, what was that like? She's like, oh man, she's like, that movie. She's like, well, the thing is it was on we shot it on a sound stage, and all of those plants and stuff needed a lot of humidity. She's like, and it was just, everybody was getting sick, and it was just a fucking mess. And she was like, it was kind of rough, but, we got through it. And then I said, what was, like, the coolest movie you ever sort of worked on? I think she was, like, in the art department. She was a director, like, in the art department. And she said that Castaway was actually, like, really, really cool to work on. Even though she said it was, like, months of them living like basically on a ship just out in the Pacific and like having to get ferried to this little island every day to like go to work. She said it was pretty cool.
Interesting. That sounds super dope.
Yeah.
Getting ferried to an island every day for a commute though. I mean, if I'm getting paid for it,
there's people
sounds
in
nice,
Washington State that do that, so they probably would disagree.
There's people that go to Staten Island that get ferried every day.
Did you
That
know
sounds kind of miserable.
there's actually a ferry?
It is. That's why
that
the
will
ferry's
take
free.
you from Manhattan to the IKEA in Brooklyn and back. It's like an IKEA
Really?
ferry.
Is it just the IKEA one?
Yes. It takes you like basically right to the IKEA and then back to Manhattan at the ferry terminal.
Dang, is it an IKEA branded ferry?
I think it might be, actually.
Does that mean that they put it together themselves?
Oh
Maybe.
no, I don't want to go on that ferry.
I would love to see that instruction book though. That'd be pretty sick.
Are there meatballs on the ferry?
I was just thinking that. I was like, man, if I can't get a lingonberry soda on this fucking ferry and some meatballs, dude, I'm gonna mauled about it, dude. I would be so pissed.
I've never been to an IKEA. I think I mentioned that when I was in Chicago. I've only ever just seen them driving on the highway.
IKEA is kind of fun. It's actually pretty cool. Like, and if you need little like houseware stuff, like they're really great because they have stuff there that's pretty inexpensive and pretty high quality. Like if you need like dish towels or some shit like that, like you can get stuff like that there.
IKEA also really fun to just blow a couple hours in.
Yeah, just wander around, take a look at stuff, get something to eat.
It's kind of like Wizard of Oz.
A little bit, yeah. You're following the arrows that are being projected from the ceiling onto the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And you're traveling through all these different sort of environments, biomes, if you will. It is pretty delightful.
They are like biomes.
The couch biome, the throw pillow biome, the small apartment biome.
It's where my throw pillow harvest factory is.
There you go.
Oh man. CJ, you had a story that we were talking about you should tell while Alex is here.
Yeah.
You teased this story pretty well, and I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah. So I used to work at a car dealership, and I did for a little while there. I did IT sort of against my will, and so I was called out to service. And in the service drive, they would get these kids from the technical school, and they would hire them on, and they'd be there, and basically they just oil changes, filters,
doing the
they'd
basic
do the
stuff.
checks. Yeah, basic stuff. And one day I come in, and there's a guy, and he's wearing a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, boot cut jeans, a big belt with a big belt buckle, and spurs.
Interesting choice for casual walking around the city.
And he's an employee. So I'm like,
okay, dude.
I'm like, so I'm doing my stuff and I'm being friendly and, just like we're talking now, I'd make conversation with the people I'm helping. And so I look up and I say, hey, cowboy, how's it going? And he's just quiet. He doesn't really say anything and he kind of sinks off. And I don't remember. It was like maybe the next day or the day after, I get called up to
the service manager's office?
Human Resources.
Oh, straight to the top.
And I come in, and there's a guy there, and I almost didn't recognize him. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And so HR's like, hey, can you have a seat? So I sit down, and she says, what did you say to, can you tell me what you said to Billy? And I said, I don't know who Billy is. And she goes, this is Billy. You said something to him the other day. He was very upset about it. And I looked over, and I said, I don't think I said anything to Billy. I don't recognize him at all.
Never seen this person before in my life.
And so I'm like, oh my God, you're the guy that wore the cowboy hat? And then he starts to sob. And I said, I didn't say anything. I just said, hey, cowboy. And he's like, cowboy is a slur. And I was like,
what?
You were wearing a cowboy hat. You had a big belt buckle on. You were wearing cowboy boots and spurs. You were dressed like a cowboy. And so then her whole attitude changes, and me and her were friends, and she was just like, Billy, if you're going to wear a cowboy hat, you can't be
and
upset
boots
when people...
And spurs.
Yeah. And so I said, so then we're both sitting there trying to make him feel better. I'm like, why do you wear...
If it's a slur, why are you wearing the uniform? Why are you dressed like that?
So he's like, so I was like, why are you wearing cowboy boots? And he goes, I have poor arch support.
Okay, that's fine, but the
I was
spurs,
like, okay, what about the spurs? And he's like, I was like, what about the spurs? And he goes, they make me feel cool. And he just breaks down. So
Did you say how old this kid is?
Like 20 or something. It was like 19.
Now I'm
20.
almost kind of feeling bad. I'm like, Billy. It's okay,
Billy.
bud.
But
where exactly does cowboy being a slur come from? I'm
and
curious.
I don't live anywhere that you would associate as being cowboy. I live in upstate New York.
Right. I live in southern Idaho, which you were describing his outfit, and I had this thought in my head. I was like, there's probably a man within less than a mile of where I'm sitting currently in my home wearing this exact outfit. Maybe not with the spurs, but the boots, the hat, the bootcut jeans. I could find that guy in 15 minutes or less.
Yeah, it's like, why the spurs? You don't have a horse.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go. That's
a pretty great...
Yeah. I got called to the HR's office because I called somebody a cowboy.
The thing for me with this story is cowboy being a slur. I want to know where that came from in this person's, thinking.
He must be a part of, a cowboy support group.
I don't know.
Dude, I told that to Tommy the day it happened. And
I would have, too. I was just going to say this. I have called Tommy from my car on the way home and left him voicemails of you're not going to believe what I just saw. So like I definitely understand that impulse to tell him immediately off the bat when you see some shit that's kind of wild or something crazy happens, to just be like, yo, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah, totally. If anyone else has anything, feel free, but otherwise we can
I was going to say, I actually have been called a cowboy once or twice.
Okay.
And I'm a cowboy on this steel horse I ride.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So, Bikeriders.
Yeah, okay. The fucking transition skills on this guy here. All right.
Thank you.
That was so smooth, I didn't even realize it while it was happening.
Oh, so
am I allowed
Alex,
to mention when this episode is going to be released?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get into it later. I just didn't want to bring it up if it was kind of something that was not supposed to get mentioned. Okay.
The Bikeriders.
The Bikeriders.
Asterisk, parenthetical, presented at half speed.
Yes. I know nothing about this film at all. I don't know who's in it. I don't know what it's about.
Okay.
I don't know what people thought of it. I don't know anything. So
this almost makes me want to say less about it than I might have otherwise, just due to the fact that CJ is going into this frigid cold, like absolute Kelvin zero knowledge of this.
Mm-hmm. Tommy, if you know more, do you know more than I do?
Yeah, I know a fair bit.
Tommy probably knows more because I mentioned to him kind of, I believe we talked about it when I was watching it initially.
Yeah.
Would you
this movie
like
also
to talk about what you know, Tommy, and I can take my headphones off?
Yeah, sure. I don't know too much, so it won't be too long.
All right, just ping me when you're done.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I know the premise. It's Austin Butler and Tom Hardy and Jodie Comer?
I believe so.
And maybe it's Austin Butler. I think he's the rebel without a cause. He's living life too dangerous.
He's the wild man a little bit.
Yeah, they're like, oh, the brightest stars, burn out fastest, whatever that phrase is.
Oh, right.
And it was Tom Hardy sounds like he's doing a real funny voice. I think
he's doing, you know how Tom Hardy is with his voices. It's very distinct, but I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, and what else is there? I think takes place in the Chicagoland area at least for a little bit.
Yes, most of it I think is kind of focused around Chicago. Yes.
Okay. And it's like in the 50s or 60s?
The 60s, yeah. Like the early 60s kind of. I was like thinking about that. I remember when I watched it initially. So I'll wait till CJ comes back to explain my arc of watching the film. But I remember thinking when I first watched it, like this, like Tommy's grandmother, like probably could have like known people like this. Or like known people sort of in that same kind of
she's probably in this
world
movie
a little bit. And yeah, in a way, she could be, like there's definitely probably people in this movie that represent people she would have known like around that time.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to shoot CJ a message to come on back.
Okay. That sounds great.
Hello.
Welcome back.
I'm back.
Alex.
Yes.
Why don't you walk us through your experience with this movie and how you came to, bring it up to the podcast and especially the stipulation, the half speed.
Sure. Okay.
Which I don't think we've fully explained.
We have not yet. We can get into that. That can be part of our wrap up, I think, maybe. Before we get to the pre-movie prediction, we'll do the stipulations and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so I watched this movie as every filmmaker intends for their creation to be viewed on an airplane on my iPhone screen.
Of course.
So I was on
some of the best cinema of all time has been presented in that way.
Designed specifically for that. You know what I heard? I heard they're not even going to do Cannes anymore. You're just going to get on an Air France plane and watch the movies while it flies you like to Cannes or to Monaco or to wherever, and then there's not actually an event there. It's all just on the phone. Anyway, so I was on a trip. We were going to Mexico, my wife and I was, on the plane. We flew from Boise, Idaho to Dallas, and then Dallas to Cancun. So I'm on the plane and I'm, kind of just perusing through what they have in their little app that you access through your browser or whatever. I'm like, oh, the Bikeriders, huh? This, whatever. Fuck it. I'm trapped here. I might as well watch something. This seems interesting. So I started watching it, and I'm watching through it. And then at a certain point, I like went to do something else on my phone or clicked on something and realized, wait a minute, there's speed options for playback in this video, like player. Like,
really interesting. An airplane player would have that ability.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I was like, well, I guess like if you want to finish the movie, but your flight's running out of time, sure, play that sucker at 1.5 speed or 2 times speed or whatever, So like, I guess I sort of get that, but I was also like, yo, what the fuck? Like, that feels wrong. Like, to be able to watch a movie at a different speed, right? Like, it almost felt like something you shouldn't be able to do, So, obviously, the forbidden fruit, it titillated me, and I was like, wow, okay, like, all right. It's like, okay, I'll watch this thing at full speed, then I'm going to watch it at 2 times speed, just because I fucking can, and I'll see what that's like. And then I think at a certain point through the double speed, I had this thought that was like, I have to complete the trifecta, and I have to watch this fucking film at half speed. And I did it. And honestly, the half speed version is like probably my favorite out of the 3. And for reasons that I'm sure we'll kind of get into later, but like the half speed one, just something about it, I was like, oh, this is so fucking cool.
I've got a lot of questions.
Sure, go ahead. I'm an open book.
Is this an experience that might be, watching it at half speed like you are bringing to the table for us right now, one that might be improved having seen the movie normally first?
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. I was getting to that if either of you, either individually or together, would like to watch the movie at regular speed first before we do the half speed watch through, I'm totally fine with that. Because and to be fair, like that's how I did it. Like I didn't just watch it at half speed first. I watched it at regular speed first, then went to half speed. Right. So like if that's something that interests you, go ahead. If you don't have the time to make it happen or you don't care and you just want to go in raw at the half speed, like I'm fine with that too.
Right. Now,
I would say though, I guess what I would say though is like the half speed is definitely like a very singular sort of experience, but I would I guess ask that you not judge your entire opinion of the movie solely on the half speed experience.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So like if you watched it at half speed and were like, I didn't like that at all, don't like immediately write the movie off because you watched it in this fucked up way that I sort of backed you into a corner to have to do.
Right. Now, I guess without going into spoilers, like what does watching at half speed add? Like, or is this something that like you don't want to go into at all before we experience it ourselves?
I think, okay, I will just say this. One thing that I noticed while I was watching it in half speed is that it sort of makes everything feel like a dream sequence from a David Lynch movie, which like kind of made it a little bit more interesting to view it through that lens of like, oh, it's this weird sort of surrealist like dream sequence of like maybe none of this is actually happening and maybe it's all just, a dream or something, which was kind of an interesting way to sort of understand it. So that's kind of what it adds. It also makes everybody seem kind of like they're on drugs a little bit, or they're like sort of drunk, the way they're like the talking is slowed down, which like also kind of makes it interesting. Like, oh, these people are just fucked up and yapping. Like, I don't know.
And also riding motorcycles at half speed.
Yes. And all the sound is at half speed too. It's all very, I don't know.
You brought up that it's very Lynchian.
Yes, at half speed.
I know you, right. I know that you're a fan of David Lynch.
Yes.
I myself, I'm not sure I've actually fully seen a David Lynch movie.
Sure, that's fair.
CJ, what's your experience with David Lynch? Oh, I've seen Dune 1984. That's it though.
I'd have to look up David Lynch's filmography.
Eraserhead, Lost Highway, Blue Velvet, the aforementioned Dune 1984, Inland Empire, Mulholland Drive.
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. What was that other one? The Straight Story.
No.
Damn. So neither of us have any experience with David. This is interesting.
This is very interesting. I should also, this is possibly a good point to mention too, that if you didn't listen to the previous episode, I've offered these two a way out of the half-speed watch.
I was just about to bring that up.
These two are going to have a safe word. They both have to agree to say it, and they both have to say it in unison. But if they say it, we will stop the half-speed watch-through, go back to regular speed, and pick up right where we left off at a regular speed watch-through of the Bikeriders 2023. However, should the two of them make it to the end, watching the full film at half speed, they will receive a mystery prize box valued between $35 and $50 with some little swag and some bits and bobs. So it's like, it could be anything. It could even be a boat. Okay.
It could be a boat.
That was the Simpsons reference I was talking about earlier that I couldn't remember that just came to me in the moment. Yeah. So it's a mystery
I thought that
prize
it could
box.
be a boat thing was a Family Guy thing.
Maybe it is. I don't fucking know.
It is a Family Guy thing, and they get 2 tickets to a crappy comedy club instead.
Now that's a deal. So we have to come up with a safe word.
Yes. I mean, I don't necessarily know that I need to be privy to the safe word, but if you get, I mean, I don't care. I mean, it's fine. But yeah, so the safe word is kind of your ticket out of the half speed dream world watch through.
So we have to both agree
to
2
say
keys at the nuclear console at the same time.
Yes.
Right. And so just like brainstorming, we can't pick a word that exactly. We can't pick a word we're going to accidentally say. I was going to bring up, maybe we do like flossy, but I don't want to write out the possibility of us seeing cows in the movie and both of us going flossy at the same time.
Right.
Okay. All right. I have it then.
Okay.
I say flossy and you say bossy at the same time.
Ooh. But again, what if we're driving by the cows and I just happen to say bossy instead of flossy?
That's it.
Flossy's a better cow name.
You just talked yourself out of a mystery prize box.
You'll just have to.
You gotta lock in and be aware of what you're doing. Oh, sorry, Sarge. I accidentally let one fly, and now Jimenez is bleeding out on the floor. That's not an excuse.
Well, that's why I'm trying to have it so that letting one fly is something I would never normally do, and not just shout out bossy.
Okay, here are 2 other options that I think are show appropriate. Deli is a good one.
Deli's a great one.
A lot of delis in Chicago, though. I don't know.
Cowboy.
Cowboy's a good one, too.
And I'll say, we could put in the proviso, we have to say 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So it's not accidental.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I figured you guys would have to do that just because it's hard to sync up. No,
we were going to raw dog it otherwise.
1, 2. Also, I know you. You're going to be the holdout. I'll want to quit long before you will.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting because I have it on good authority that Tommy listens to podcasts at 1.5 to 2 times speed.
I do. I'm a little gremlin who listens to shit very fast.
When I brought this idea up, it was relayed to me ooh, he might have a tough time with that because he's listening to shit sped up. I was like, good.
I also listen to things sped up. So... not podcasts specifically, but if I have to catch up on a meeting for work, I'll put it on at 1.5 speed because I don't need to listen to the dead air in real time.
Sure, that's fair.
So we're locking in 1, 2, 3 cowboy is our safe word.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have to say it together.
Yes.
So if you say it and then 5 seconds later I say it, it doesn't count.
Right. We'll have to do.
You'll have to do the 1 through 2, 3 cowboy again.
Because we're also logistically we're gonna have to pause.
Yes, we will pause the show, restart at 1's time speed.
Start at where we left off.
Yeah, start where we left off.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
we're
that's
not
also
starting
going to
over
be
again.
tricky.
We're not starting over again.
We're just making sure all of the ink is spelled out correctly here
Yes.
before we sign.
Yes.
I would be curious to hear some predictions from myself and CJ as to how long we think we might last. We
Ooh, I
often
like
do the
this.
predictions for
I do love a bit
how
of gambling.
we'll like it, but
Okay, so you want to do predictions where the other person doesn't know?
no, let's just fire them away, and then Alex, you will still do the prediction for how we'll like it that
Sure.
we will not listen to.
So, I will say, me personally, so at 0.5 speed, every second takes a second and a half, right? Because it's not, if it were, well,
I
No,
thought
it's half
it's
speed,
half
so it's
speed,
every
so it'd be
second's 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
oh, that's awful. 30 minutes?
30 minutes.
Wait,
so you're saying
film
30
time or
That's
real
what I was
time?
going to ask.
Real time.
Real
Let's
time?
do real time. Yeah.
An hour.
You're going to last
60
an hour
minutes
of real time.
time.
Okay.
Do you have a
Less
how
than
about this,
an hour.
CJ? Do you less than? Do you have an exact minute prediction?
I know how long I'm going to last. I'm not giving you a minute prediction because then you'll just beat it.
Okay, so you're approaching this from an entirely different angle. I was approaching it from.
Yeah, because you're trying to inflict torture on me.
Part of me wants to say a really high number just to make CJ really upset about it going in. I think I'll last the whole thing.
Yeah. That's what I like to hear.
Oh God! Realistically,
4 hours.
realistically, I don't think I'll last that long. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna last the whole time. That way, I have a bar to shoot for. But I don't think that's realistic.
You're terrible.
Here's a thought. Realistically, CJ can tap out whenever. Then we just take his audio track and play it at half speed, and it will sync up to where we are in the movie.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So CJ is having
Might get a little bit
conversations on his
complicated.
own.
Yeah,
CJ's having conversations on his own in half speed while we're talking about other
I get
shit.
put in the fucking time chamber?
I mean, another thing I thought of, though, is that if people want to listen to the commentary track, but they don't want to watch the movie at half speed, they could just play us at 2x speed, and it would
that's
be
not a bad call.
synced up to the movie in real time.
Yeah.
Okay, third option. If whoever taps out first, let's call them person A.
Sure.
Person A, when they tap out, we'll pause the movie, get them synced up. They resume at normal speed. We resume at the person B and Alex resume at half speed. So one person then begins watching it much faster than the other people that they're watching it with.
All right. That's a terrible idea. If anything, we're either all watching it at half speed or we're all watching it at normal speed.
I like this. Come on, it's a crazy idea though. Just say it's crazy.
I do. It is a crazy
It's
idea.
Lynchian. Cool.
No, I wanted you to say it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Oh, let's go. Okay,
We don't have to do it, right?
no, we'll do the all of us
thank
or
you.
yeah, we will
Yeah.
tap out together.
I
If
mean,
at
listen,
all. Maybe
If at
we
all,
both
yeah.
really fuck with it.
I am telling you right now.
CJ,
If
what
you
if
don't tap out despite me, I will punish you on the next
at what
movie.
point through the playthrough can we start queuing up for Fortnite lobbies while the movie's going?
I mean, I've never
Just to
done
keep
that.
CJ engaged during the half speed.
Okay, this is quite a compromise.
You think I'm gonna have more fun playing Fortnite while watching that on the side?
Maybe. You might.
Maybe.
There's only one way to
no.
find out.
Listen, I've never disrespected the podcast. You've always had my full attention. So I will continue to give the people my full attention.
I do love that idea, though. That is a very funny idea.
It
as
is
well.
a very funny idea. And listen, I love where your head's at. I won't do it.
Okay, so we will, if we tap out, if we don't make it the whole time, maybe we're both like, holy fuck, this is transcendent.
It's possible.
Am I allowed to drink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were never not allowed to drink. At least not by me.
I'm gonna get drunk in this movie.
Let's go.
So maybe it's transcendent, but if we tap out, we will both say 1, 2, 3, cowboy. We should probably do a countdown, so it'll probably be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, cowboy, right?
I thought cowboy was after 3. It was just 1, 2, 3, cowboy.
Cowboy,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So sync on cowboy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How about we now let Alex predict how we will like this movie and experience? We can take off our headphones and Alex can let us know.
All right, I'm taking off my headset.
I am taking off my headset.
I think they're gonna like it. At this point, just to even be humored with this crazy idea has been a complete honor for me. I would never admit this while they're listening, but it's always been one of my bucket list goals to be a guest on a podcast. So this is achieving that goal. Thank you both so much for having me. I think they're going to like it. I hope they sit through the whole thing because I got a lot of really cool prizes cooked up. Yeah. So I hope that they make it. We'll see how it goes. They might like it as a film at regular speed. They might not. It's hard to say. I think there's definitely some things about the film that have merit and that are very interesting and cool. But I personally too, I was kind of like not as sold on the film at first until I learned some of that stuff after the fact. So I think that they might enjoy it but not love it, but then they might kind of reassess that a little bit as time goes on. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I'm back.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm back.
Excellent.
I'm back. All right.
Hi.
Are we forgetting anything else?
I don't think so.
Alrighty. Well, ladies, gentlemen, them bees, allies, etc. Thank you all
Ladies and
for listening.
gentlethems.
There you go. Thank you for listening to the pre-show of the film is Okie Dokie. If you are not going to listen to the companion audio track, you can just keep on choogling, keep on trucking. We'll give you the best of the episode coming up next. If you want to listen to the companion audio podcast and hear us talk live over the Bikeriders at 0.5 speed, you can pause the episode right now.
All right, the tour is here. So I will be muting, but I am present.
Okay. Trying to figure out things we could talk about that Tommy would just be like exploding to chime in with, but like couldn't.
Like how he has this big weird boot fetish.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
But I've heard also too it's like calf height and higher, like anything below mid calf, he's like it disgusts him greatly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's why why specifically, Jade has a secret closet at her house of just boots.
I hadn't heard about that. That's a little bit more information than I needed, but I do know that in some circles he's known as Thigh High Tommy for a reason.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, it wasn't that he was wearing the boots; it's that he wants other people to wear the boots.
I heard it kind of went both ways. Like he also preferred to wear boots at times. I don't
maybe
know.
the secret closet at Jade's house isn't for her; it's for Tommy.
Yes. And from what I understand, Tommy's fairly tall, so those have got to be some custom jobs.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Again,
he pays
getting into
somebody.
the world of boot fetishes, not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, there you go. Not for the faint of heart. Not a lot of people know that.
All right. Anyone in particular want to bring us in? If not, I will.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
Welcome
to
back.
The
All right.
Okie Dokie special presentation.
How are you both doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing well. I'm doing well.
Very nice. Full transparency to the listeners. This episode is, we are 3 busy people. This episode has taken quite a long time for us to record. Over the span of what, about 2 months?
We
Has it been
recorded
that long?
each part in a different month.
Wow,
That sounds
gotta
right.
be a new record for the show, right?
Big time. Big
I don't
time.
know
I
if
think
That has not
like-
happened.
If that's like an illustrious thing, or if that's like kind of dubious and like not to be celebrated.
I'll say this. I think that it pairs well with the way the movie was presented.
Fair.
Yeah,
It was
an
a real
allegory.
slow burn.
I don't know that it ever caught fire, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get there.
Yeah, did it? I'm curious to hear if it even reached a smolder, but why don't I just throw that down as a note?
Were you a
let's
Cub
let's
Scout?
start off. Me, no.
Yeah. Alex, did you ever do like?
Yes, I was in Scouts. This is actually kind of a good anecdote. I think I reached the rank of star, maybe. I didn't get very far into Scouts. I was actually talking about this recently with a friend of mine, but I was in a Boy Scout troop that was like very serious about it, right? Very regimented. They had a whole track of basically like, okay, when you come in, this many like years from now, you can get your eagle, right? You'll basically be on track to get your eagle like in 4 or 5 years or whatever of being in this troop. Maybe it was like 3. I don't exactly remember how it all worked out. But so I joined that troop. Like this troop is like got a lot of adult volunteer guys that are helping out. They have a quartermaster. They have their own bus. I mean, it was an old school bus that had some of the seats in the back taken out for storage and stuff, but they had a bus. They had equipment that you would check out from the quartermaster for all the camping trips and stuff. All very organized, very well put together, pretty big troop, had a lot going on, so I was in that troop for a while and was kind of like, yeah, this is cool. Like, all right, sweet. I'm learning stuff. I'm going to camp. I'm spending my $1.25 to get my little poker chip to go shoot the little 22s at the rifle range. Like, this is sick. I'm getting ice cream floats made with Mountain Dew and shit at the little store at the camp. Like, this is kind of sick. And then my friend says to me one day, hey, why don't you come to my scout troop, see what it's like. It's pretty cool. I'm like, okay, sure. I'll check that out. So, the meeting's like maybe, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours long. We do some scout shit for like the first 40, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. The rest of the time, we're just playing Red Rover and like British Bulldogs and just tackling each other out in a field and like really just kind of fucking around. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. Like this is
what
me.
Scouts is meant
This
to
is
be.
sick. Yeah, so I like kind of talked to my parents and I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to join this other troop. So let's do that. And my parents were like, yeah, fuck it, dude. This place is like 2 miles from our house as opposed to having you take you like downtown every Monday. So yeah, sure, go ahead. You can change troops or whatever. And so I switched troops to that other troop, which was Troop 161. Shout out Troop 161 here in Boise, if they're still around. And never gained another rank at all. And probably within 6 to 9 months of changing troops, I just stopped going.
Hell yeah.
So
CJ,
There's some
you're-
other factors kind of involved in
Sure.
my leaving the Scouts, but it was mainly like I discovered smoking weed and shit, and I was like, yeah, this isn't fun anymore. So I just stopped. That was the end of my scouting journey, unfortunately.
Sounds like the Bikeriders, but for Boy Scouts.
a little bit, yeah. And like I said, oh, sorry, go ahead, CJ. I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
Just gonna say, what could be more American than starting something and then just like not really finishing it and it growing well beyond your control?
Hell yeah.
So what I was gonna say was, it's funny because our scout experiences are sort of similar. I did Cub Scouts. That was like fun. Like my friends were there.
Yeah.
We did this in like the basement of this like Catholic school or whatever. It was pretty cool. And they all went to the Catholic school and I didn't. So it was like I only got to see them once a week. And then it was like, yeah, we're all gonna do Boy Scouts and we're all gonna join this next thing. And that is down the street. We're gonna go to this other church. And I'm like, okay. So we get there. And like the Cub Scouts was like really relaxed. and like
Mhm.
the den leader was like really chill and really nice guy who taught us like how to make knots and stuff. And
Yeah.
then we get to the Boy Scouts, and it was like there was a bunch of like really, really into it high school boys, like, all right,
Mhm.
maggots, drop on your face and give me 20. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's like, and so then they did that, and they were all, and then they're like, we're gonna play dodgeball, but new recruits can't use their hands. It's like, so we're just getting hit in
Okay,
the
how
face
am I
with,
supposed to play?
with
dude?
rubber
What the fuck
balls?
is this?
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. So I did that for about one day, and my dad was like, how was it? And I was like, this was fucking stupid. I'm not doing that again. And I never went back. I also
That's
got kicked
amazing.
out of camp. We had a camp.
Mm.
So they had this victory tower, just like this wooden structure thing. And there was no harness, and there was no net, and it was like 20 feet in the air. And I was like, I'm not fucking climbing that. And they're like, you have to. It's the victory tower. And I'm like, yeah, no, not without a harness. I'm not climbing that thing. And they're like, what are you talking about? Everyone else did it. And I shut that fucking camp down because I'm like, well, I'm gonna fucking die if I go up there. I ain't going up there. There was like a rope bridge up there. I'm like, what happens if I fall off the rope bridge? Like, you'll fall in the grass. I'm like, it's 20 feet in the air.
They did not have any padding underneath?
No, they had no net. They had no padding. It was just like, yo, if you fucking fall, you die.
So are you saying that to this day you feel you wouldn't be able to do a victory tower, or was this just like as a kid?
I, as a kid, had the wherewithal to be like, I will die if I go up there.
Okay, and how do you feel about them as an adult?
I ain't afraid of no fucking victory tower, but I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
I wouldn't about to climb it.
I just had to make sure because in our Renaissance Man episode, you specifically said you could do the victory tower.
Yeah, I could do that. They had nets and harnesses.
did they have a harness in that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember the
Yeah.
harness. I don't remember a harness, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm amazed at like how much of that kind of shit happened like when I was a kid, and it's like, yeah, there's no fucking way they would do that now. Like, it just wouldn't
Exactly.
be a thing.
There wouldn't be a victory. Like, some mom shut that victory tower down after I did. Like,
Or at least like was like, yeah, you got to rig some fucking harnesses up in here, man. Like, you can't just have these kids fucking jumping off this thing.
Yeah. They had like a rock wall with no equipment. Like, just climb this rock. I'm like,
Wild.
you're gonna fucking die if you go up there. And my friends would climb up there and be like, you're a pussy. And I'm like, I'll be alive and you'll be crippled if you fall.
You'll be in traction, motherfucker. Come on.
I said back pain's awful, dude. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
Not
Um,
unideal.
So I did go to camp. I mean, I went to the Boy Scout camp, but I spent more time. I spent more time in my camp experience with like at a church camp here that was run by our local Episcopal diocese, and they had a ropes course, and it was like serious shit. Like, there were people at the camp whose whole thing was like, oh yeah, no, they're the ropes course like people. Like, they just run it. They're like certified to do it. They're like inspecting all the equipment every day and like doing everything like by the book, you know?
They freaking
For the
love
ropes
ropes
course.
over there.
Yeah, it was all ropes course and shit.
See those guys? Don't talk
Also, though,
bad
too-
about rope around them.
Also, though, too, at the same time, if you got a package or 3 letters like on the same day, they'd throw your ass in the lake.
I don't know what any of that means.
So, what if you got like a letter from home?
If you got 3 letters from home that arrived on the same day, or like your family sent you a package, like a box of snacks or whatever the fuck, they would throw you in the lake.
Yeah, fuck you. Serves you right. How dare you get letters or a package from home? How dare you have people
Exactly.
at home
How
who want to
dare
improve your
you
experience? How
get-
dare you?
I mean, it
Get
was kinda
wet, kid.
Fun. It was fun to like. It was kind of fun to like watch other kids get tossed in, and then but then like the next day you're like, ah, fuck, because it was your turn and your ass was getting tossed in.
Wait, real quick, how did we get okay, we're on summer camp. We were on
Talking
Boy
about
Scouts.
Yeah.
How did we get to the Boy Scouts?
Speaking of camp, one of my front runners for this
Fuck your question, by the
experience
way.
was going to be Wet Hot American Summer, which I'm not sure if either of you have
watching
seen.
that at half speed?
Yeah, no, not at half speed. It would have been at regular speed.
I was gonna say, oh my god, I don't know how a comedy would land at half speed.
It wouldn't. It'd be a horrible experience.
Did this land at half speed?
We'll get there. We will get there.
Sure. So I had an interesting weekend.
Hit us with it.
I didn't know this, but actually, I think I've talked about this before. I get migraines a lot. Yeah, they're pretty awful. I knew that. I take medication for them. I have like a every day take this pill so your brain doesn't explode, and then I have the if your brain starts to explode, take this, and that usually diffuses the bomb. When I went to visit you,
Sure.
Tommy, there were 2 times where I was like, hey, I'm getting a migraine. I'm going to go chill for like 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll be back.
And then it took like 15 hours.
Oh,
It
shut
was
up.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I just like became a troll in your basement.
Yeah.
So, I had a symptom on Friday that is a symptom that I get it only ever precedes really, really bad migraines. Okay?
So you get a feeling in your joints?
No. It is aphasia. I lose the ability to read and recognize words.
Okay.
Whoa,
It lasts
that's
about-
very unsettling.
It lasts about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's weird because you're looking at something and you're like, okay, I can't read this anymore. I don't know what this says. I don't know what this is. And for some things, it's like, I know this says, like, I can look at my keyboard and be like, I know this is the enter button, but this no longer says enter, right? These letters no longer form a word. And I also get a really big blind spot in my vision. It's like, imagine you took like something like an apple and you put it like on the bridge of your nose. That's how big the blind spot is.
Whoa.
Is this
But can you
something you've
see,
talked
like,
to a doctor
peripherally?
about?
Yeah, I've talked to a doctor about it. I have medication. What'd you say, Alex?
So is it like you can still see outside of the blind spot okay though, right? Like
Yeah.
in your peripheral vision a little bit?
Yeah. And that lasts about an hour, the blind spot. Now, these only happen before really, really bad migraines. Okay.
So this is when you take the MacGyver pill to defuse the bomb, right?
I take the MacGyver pill a lot. I take it whenever I feel a headache coming on.
Sure.
I took the
Rather be
MacGyver.
safe than sorry.
I took the MacGyver pill. Hang on 1 second, sorry. Someone is calling me that doesn't normally call me. Hello? Hey, what's up?
So Tommy,
What's going on?
Yeah.
how are the Cubs looking this year? They're
Really
first
good.
in their they're first in their division, right?
Yeah, their offense is crazy.
Yeah. They're like what? First in the AL Central?
NL, come on,
And
dude.
listen, I'm very young in my baseball fandom. You gotta cut me some
It's
slack.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Sorry.
You're okay.
Okay, so I've only had 2 other migraines with these symptoms before. But both of those times, they were the worst migraines that I have had in my entire life. Like, could that scene in Casino where the guy's head's in the vice? Like that. Like, the
Okay.
worst pain I've ever had, entirely behind one eye. Nothing can make it better. Okay? And so, that part happens hours after the symptoms occur.
Right. So you have some lead time to know it's coming.
Uh-huh. And then I discovered something. I discovered that some people have migraines when a low pressure system comes in. So when there's a drastic change in barometric pressure,
Interesting.
and it's drastic enough, the vessels in your brain, your head or whatever, can expand, which causes that migraine feeling.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, cool. Did we have a low pressure system? Yes. And because they were so painful, I remember the days, the dates, and what I was doing the other 2 times. So I looked it up, and both times, sure enough, they were drastic changes in pressure. So when a low pressure system comes in, I need a barometer. I do. So that night,
you're the human barometer.
I'm the human barometer. I wish that I had a better way of telling when the pressure dropped.
Sure.
But
well, you
so
can get barometers.
I could get a barometer. So then
that would
I
be
was
a
like,
cool thing to have. They look neat.
They are neat. Yeah, I've been looking at them.
Sorry.
You're fine. So I was like, okay, every light in my house must now be turned off. When they get really bad, I do that. Even like the indicator light on like my TV, I tape over it. Like any source of light in my house is enough to like make the pain worse. So I'm like just laying in bed. It's like 8 o'clock. The only thing that can help you at that point, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Cold rag, ice, fan, air conditioning, shower. Nothing can help you. Nothing can save you. If it's that bad, the only thing you can do is take all your meds, drink as much water as you can, and then go to sleep. That's the only thing that'll save you. So, that's what I did. I went to bed. And I woke up the next morning, and it was pouring out, right? Just a big rainstorm.
Sure.
So I slowly start turning some lights back on. I'm very cautious, because my head... They call it, like, this aura feeling. Like, you just feel like you just have this, like... You just see this aura, and you just feel like you just kind of still have one, but you kind of don't. I'm being very careful. I go to turn my TV on, and my TV won't turn on. So I'm like, huh, that's weird. That probably doesn't mean anything. So I do the thing where I'm like, oh, I thought I turned the TV on. I thought I turned the TV on. I thought I turned the TV on. TV doesn't want to come on. It's an old RCA TV. It's still a flat screen, but it's just an older brand. And I was like, okay, this sucks. My TV died. I turned it off, like I normally do, last night when I had a migraine, and it never turned back on.
Never?
Never. It's done.
Wow.
So I had to go buy a TV.
It was the low pressure storm. It fucked with all the electronics.
It fucked with electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me turning it off killed it. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need a television. I need to play Final Fantasy VII Remake and other things. This TV was 8 years old. Now, the last time I bought a TV...
It's a pretty good run for a TV.
Do you want to guess how much I paid for that TV 8 years ago? Or
Can
almost 9
Can we do
years.
it Prices Right? Can we do it Prices Right style?
Sure.
Closest without going over wins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask the size of the TV?
It was 55 inches. You've seen it.
What's
so
the
I guess
resolution?
Okay.
1080p?
1080p.
Or is it a 4K? Okay.
I don't think 4K was a thing in 2016.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So in 2016, 15-inch TV, I'm going to say
55.
you paid... 55-incher. I'm going to say you paid $480 for it.
Okay.
I'm not going to do the thing where I pin Alex with the 481. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Or just go
I'm
with
going to
$1.
say $600.
Okay. Tommy, you're the closest. I paid
Okay.
$7.99.
Oh, my initial guess was
Holy
$780. No.
Yeah,
Damn.
it was $799 in 2016.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
let me guess. So you walk into the Best Buy or the electronics store, and you're like, "Holy shit! I can get a 65-inch 4K UHD TV for $300."
So, the cheapest TV that I could get, it was also, okay, I could have gotten a bigger one that had more features. I didn't do that. I got a 55-inch LG 4K TV, because I wanted the 4K. If I was going to get the TV, I think you can't
I
even
don't even
get
know
one.
if you can buy a 1080p anymore.
Yeah. Well, I wanted the 4K. And then I chose it specifically because actually I was going to go get the Vizio. The Vizio was $250. The reason I didn't buy the Vizio was because when I got to Sam's Club, they had an in-store coupon for $50. So I basically only paid an extra $25 for the LG. It's not QLED, it's not OLED, it's not any of that stuff. It says it's enhanced by AI.
What the fuck
I don't
does
really
that even mean for a television?
I don't know what it means. My TV already had to get an update. And my remote acts like a mouse.
Oh, I've seen that before. I feel like it's really nice for certain apps. Other apps, it's just absolutely yeah.
That has been my experience. So it hit or miss. The TV so far has been pretty good. I also had to go buy it in the rain with a migraine lingering. The box got
I thought you were gonna rhyme again.
It was absolutely soaked by the time I got back to my car. The this lady behind me.
But it wasn't loose, was it? It was in a box, right? Or was
Yeah, it was in a box.
You bought. Oh, okay.
The box was soaked. But this lady behind me, you know how like you go to those big box stores and they have like 20 barcodes on it? I scanned every barcode and none of them worked. So this lady behind me in line like came up to me and was trying to be helpful. She's like, "Oh, can't find it. It's probably on the bottom." And I had it on the cart, like one of those big carts. She just pushed it down so that it landed on the fucking front. And I said, "Okay, I'm not buying this now." And I went and got a different one. And then she's like, "You're being dramatic." I'm like, "Okay, you can buy it if you want. I'm gonna go buy a different one."
Wait, so did she work there even?
No,
or was she just
a
rando?
customer. She was just like, "I bet the barcode's on the bottom," and then just pushed my thing over.
Were you like the? Sorry, I'm just like trying to get some idea. But like, was there no other open like self checkout or anything?
It was packed.
That she
It was
could've,
pretty
like,
busy.
used? Okay, so she was kind of also trying to be like, "Okay, man, speed this up."
Yeah,
need
I
that
mean,
spot.
sure, I
Okay.
get it. I felt the eyes on me, but there was nothing to be done.
Sure.
And then
Right.
an employee eventually came over and did the same thing, scanned all 20, couldn't find it, and then just rescanned one of the ones that we had both scanned, and it worked.
Classic.
So it ended up not being an us problem, it ended up being the machine's problem.
Classic.
So then
Classic
I set the TV up, and TV's nice.
Nice.
So how much was the UHD 4K fucking 55-inch TV this time when you bought it?
$325.
That's crazy. Like less than half of what you paid for the old one. And
Yeah.
it's like arguably like a more feature-packed, better television set.
Yeah, I do miss that my old television never advertised anything to me. My old TV didn't have to get an update to
Just so you
use
could
the HDMI
display
ports.
whatever.
Yeah, it's like okay.
I fucking hate so much. I've gone from like loving technology and everything being connected to everything to absolutely fucking hating it.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me just so. It's just like
Why
the
why does
car
my
now,
fridge
like,
gotta
I
be
can't
attached
just-
to Wi-Fi?
like I
Yeah.
just can't. I can't just turn on. I can't just turn a knob and the fan in my car turns on. I have to use this fucking touchscreen that freezes sometimes and just becomes completely unusable until I turn the car off and restart it. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
It's like
I hear you.
And I just don't, I like, look, man, I've got an Apple TV. I'm an Apple TV user. I don't need this weird bullshit Samsung fucking interface online shit happening. Like, I can handle how I've got this under control. I don't need your extra shit here, Samsung. Like, just stop putting this, shoehorning this bullshit into everything.
Make it stop.
Yes, please, for the love
So
of God.
does your new TV have a barometer in it?
No.
Fuck!
Is there
No,
a
it's pretty good.
barometer app on the LG App Store?
No.
Fuck!
I was able I was able to disable ads, which was nice.
Oh, nice.
And I was able to remove all the like extra garbage. So it's just
Sure.
the apps and like the header banner.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a nice TV. I've been watching some shows on it that have been 4K. I've been
Nice.
I've been playing some games, so that's been fun. But that's not the
Nice.
only thing that happened to me this weekend. I had a date.
You did?
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Why is this the first I'm hearing of it?
Saving it for the pod, man.
Wow.
Keep
You
it-
just give away all the best stories, like
keeping
nothing.
it low key. Keeping it low key. We'll call them Gwen. Call her Gwen. Very nice lady. So
This suspense is killing me.
so some things happened on the date, and I want to know if you think they're weird.
Okay.
All right, I want to hear from both of you.
Okay.
Sure.
If it was weird, if this, how you would react. And also, I did some weird things on the date, which
Okay.
unfortunately the date got away from me.
God, that's the worst. I hate it.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
I lost control of the situation. We'll get to it. Okay. So first of all, my mom goes to the cemeteries once a year, and she tends the graves of her grandparents. Right?
Okay.
Not weird at all.
No.
Normal. And
Yeah,
fine.
she's been doing this with her sister, my aunt. My aunt this year didn't do it with her for some reason. They just weren't able to do it. Couldn't find the time together, so she was gonna have to do it by herself. So I said, okay, I will help you, because it's kind of sad doing it by yourself, going to a
Yeah.
graveyard. So she's like, great, we need fake flowers, and we need fake flags. And I was like, a fake flag? She says, yeah, one that you put in the ground. I was like, okay. I was
So-
like, okay.
Seems like a real flag.
So I'm gonna go out.
That's what I was about to say. What's the difference between a fake flag and a real flag? Like,
I don't know. So then I'm like,
False
hey, I'm
flag.
gonna go out and do this thing anyway. So I'll just do this while I'm out, right? So I'm gonna.
Getting the flags and the flag.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sure.
So we went to this restaurant, and the deal is that if it's your birthday, they will buy you dinner. But you have to pick from whatever the entrees are for the day. So basically it's one of these family style Italian places where like you don't go and you order something and I order something. We order
Right.
like a tray of something for the table.
right, family style.
Yeah. So like you have to like order what somebody else has already ordered basically.
Yeah, you order
Yeah.
together. You order for the table.
No, for the birthday thing I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
So you
Yeah.
get the special, basically.
Yeah, cuz you're getting one piece, one serving.
Okay.
Okay.
Ah.
So, yeah, they're not giving you a tray for your birthday, but they'll give you a free meal.
Okay, got it. So you get it like a one individual serving of the lasagna.
Yeah.
But the standard at this restaurant is if you order lasagna, you get the whole fucking tray.
Yeah, you can't order a portion,
got it.
you get the whole
Gotcha.
tray.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, she wanted to go. It was her actual birthday. They only honor it if it's your actual birthday.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, cool, fine. She had vertical license,
Okay.
which
Okay.
means
It's not a good sign.
that you're a minor, right? Or under 21?
Yeah.
You got the
Yep.
license when you were under 21, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So I was
Typically,
like,
though, the license expires on your 21st birthday, so they get you into that landscape orientation.
So
They
then I
weren't
was
like
like-
that in Illinois.
so hers wasn't like that either. So I saw that in first, and I was like, oh my God,
Like,
I'm a pedophile. I was like, oh my God, how old are you? And she's like,
Was this a Greek restaurant?
no, it's Italian.
Okay, sorry.
So how old was she? I'm dying in suspense.
Oh, she was 28. It was an old
Okay.
ID, but she lost her license the other day or something. She lost her purse
Like
on the
she
train.
misplaced it, or like it was.
And it was
seized by
either this, she lost it, like it was misplaced.
Okay, got it.
She like left it on the train, and so the only one she had an old ID, and she's like,
Sure.
well, this will work for the purposes of getting a birthday dinner because I'm still me,
That's fair.
and but they wouldn't take it.
This is still. They wouldn't. Oh
Wow.
no! You got company manned at the family-style Italian restaurant for the expired ID. That's crazy.
So then I
That's
was like,
diabolical.
well, let me go talk to like the manager. So I walked over and I explained the situation.
She's like, look, man.
And he was
why are
like-
you rat fucking me on this date, dude. Like,
I did not go up to the man and say, "Why are you rat fucking me?"
I mean, in so many words. I was paraphrasing.
I was like, "Hey, it's an expired ID." He goes, "Well, how much is it expired by?" And I was like, "She's 28 or something, I think." She said she was 28. So she's like your age or something. Taught me. And then I was like, "Yeah, it's just I don't know, it expired." And then I was like, "Hey, when did it expire?" She's like, 2015. He's like, "You don't have a newer ID than that?" And she's like, "Well, I lost my ID." And then he's like, "Okay, just for you, I'll make an exception." And then he then he was involved the rest of the time. So I told this story to someone, and then they said it was weird that she pushed so hard for the free dinner, and that I went and talked to the manager. So
Wait, I
Fuck
guess
that. No,
how hard did
that's
she?
not wrong at all. Like,
Yeah,
you're
well-
entitled to that meal, dude. And like,
I
it's
don't
not,
think
I don't know.
she didn't go like Karen on anybody. She was
Right.
just very
No,
nice,
it's like,
trying to like be like, yeah, I just like I wanted to see if like maybe I could still get it. Like I lost my purse on the train. Like it's a very
right.
real
Well,
thing
and
that
that's
happened.
Another thing too is it's like not like these fuckers are gonna let you come in like the next week after you get your new ID fixed on a Saturday, or whatever, to get your free birthday meal. It's like, no, man, this shit's got to be today, and this is the best I can do. And it's like, I don't know. Like, for me, thinking about this, like if I was the restaurant, I'd be like, wow, this person really, really like wants to be here and get this free meal. You know what I mean? Like that they're willing to be like, instead of being like, ah, shit, lost my ID, guess I can't get my free meal. Let's just go to fucking, fucking PF Chang's or something and do something else. It's like, they're like, no, I really wanted this free birthday dinner and this is the best idea I can have because I lost mine on the train, I don't know.
So not at all in your story, and maybe it's, just the details you chose. Not at all did I get an impression that she was being pushy.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't either.
She wasn't being pushy.
Like,
Wasn't
not
being
at all.
pushy. Yeah. Okay, good. So thumbs up so far.
Yes, so
Yeah.
far. They're
And I don't really think it's weird either that you like were like, all right, let's try and figure this out here, right?
No,
'Cause
you
it
were looking
seems
out
a
for your
little
date.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems weird too that like, the server's gonna be like, yeah, sorry, nothing we can do about it. Like, fuck that, dude. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that serious, like.
Hey, listen, people are just doing their jobs. That's why I went to the
Yeah,
person
Sure.
with the power.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what they said at Nuremberg. Okay,
All right.
I don't always.
Jesus Christ. Jesus. All right.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, they were following orders. Okay, never mind.
Yes,
Sorry.
which is not
So-
a valid defense.
I digress.
So then I went to Target. And I said, hey, we'll just run in real quick. Because I want to look and see if they have the flags here.
Oh, sure.
And so she was like, sure, yeah, we can go look at the flags. And so, because we were going to go get ice cream. And I was like, well, this is close to the ice cream. So we went in, and she's like, oh, they have a Starbucks. And I was like, cool, you want to go get like a coffee? And she's like, yeah. And I went to go walk away, and she's like, oh, you don't want to wait with me? And I was like, okay, sure. Like, yeah, that's fine. In my mind, I was just literally going to run to where I thought the flags were and then run out. But that's fine.
Sure.
So we got the coffee, and then we start walking, and it's a fucking square. The building's a square. So it's like, she's like, oh, you're going to go that way? And I was like, I was like, going to go left. It was like, the options are we could go left or straight. And the thing that I need is in the back left corner. And she's like, are you going to go that way? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, I thought we could go straight. I was like, okay, sure. So we do. I'm like, it's a square. It doesn't matter to me. I have to go through the whole store, basically, to get there, so. And then, like, it starts slowing down as we start, like, looking through all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is, we're shopping now. So, we get to this section.
No such thing as just hopping into Target.
We get to this section of, like, plush stuffed animal things, and there's some Pokemon in there, and, like, I don't know, they were kind of cute, but they were expensive. Like, there was a Snorlax for, like, $30, and I was like, I would own a stuffed Snorlax, but I wouldn't pay $30 for it.
Well, how big was it?
It was, like, big enough that I would, like, it was huggable for me.
Okay.
Like, a pretty decent size.
Sure.
But then, when she went to put it back, she noticed that somebody had left their coffee on the shelf. And so she's like, wow, people are so disgusting sometimes. So she took the coffee cup and she put it on the ground and she started walking away.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And she's like, what? And I was like, you're just going to leave it on the ground? She's like, well, I'm not going to throw it out. It's not my job to throw it out. And I was like, yeah, but like you put it,
Why even touch it at that point? Like,
yeah, you went to the trouble to put it on the ground.
Leave it on the shelf.
And she said,
now the person whose job it is to do it has to bend over to pick the shit up off the floor.
She said, well, it was better than where it was, where it was going to spill all over those stuffed animals. And I was like,
somebody's going to kick it.
And I said, yeah, someone might kick it. Someone might kick it. And she's like, well, then it'll be easier to pick up because then it'll be an empty cup and a mop. And I was like, and she says, as opposed to having to get coffee out of all those stuffed animals or have them be thrown out. And I was like, okay, sure. Let's go find those flags. That felt like a weird moment. It felt weird to specifically act in a way which I think made the situation worse.
I think first, I think you being like, oh, cool, get coffee. I'm gonna go blunder, small blunder,
yeah.
blunder.
Not on like an. Is this your first date with this person?
Yes.
Okay, so the divide and conquer move is the play. I'm not denying that, but it's not like the first date move. That's like dating a couple months kind of behavior.
That all being said, yeah, no, she did was far bigger.
The coffee thing's a little weird.
That's like
something you file away for, like maybe next time if some other, like if this sort of behavior continues, maybe we reevaluate things. But maybe it was just a one-off, kind of a weird thing.
It's to me, it's almost on the same level of, oh well, it's someone's job to clean it. You know, it's like, I don't care if I'm making a mess because that's what the custodians are for. Mm. You know, that's like elementary school logic in my mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said too, it's like, yeah, sure, it's not your job to clean it, but then why even touch it? Like, because the person whose job it is to clean it can just take it off the counter. Now they got to bend over and pick it up off the floor. If somebody doesn't kick it over on accident, like,
I think the person that put it there was more wrong than she was for putting it on the ground.
Agreed. Yeah, what's the fucking problem?
But she didn't have to do anything. Like,
right.
you
just leave it there.
She decided to act.
Yeah.
So it was just... Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to sit here and be like, this is a red flag, but it's just a bit weird.
Sure.
Just
like I
a
said,
little
it's something
weird.
to file away for later and be like, huh.
Okay.
Maybe she was just having like a lapse in logic in the moment, or just...
Or just kind of a one-off thing. Because I do also see the logic of, like, well, I don't want this coffee to get knocked over and spill on all all these plushes.
It feels like the heart is
Pokemons.
most likely in the right place.
Sure. But sometimes the execution doesn't come across right.
Then she wanted to get a cart. She decided that while she was here, she was going to get a couple things.
Telling you, like I said, there's no such thing as a quick trip to Target unless you're by yourself and you know exactly where the thing you need is. But if you go to Target with another person, and you don't have up front, like, okay, this is going to be a quick thing. We're going to go in, we're going to get these 3 things, and then we're out. It never works out that way.
Yep. So she got the cart. We go through self-checkout. Everything's fine. When she was done with the cart, I offered to go push the cart back. And she's like, oh, it's okay. And she just pushed it into the parking lot.
Like out into the lane of cars or like into an empty
so it's on a
spot?
Tommy, you've been to my Target, so you know it's kind of like on like a hill.
I mean, I don't remember that detail of it, but
it's on a slope.
I'll say sure.
Like how where I eat my lunch, it's like kind of like
yeah,
where I used to eat my lunch. That whole area is on like a big hill, so it's all like slightly sloped. So the whole thing starts to roll down like to the road, and I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" That was also kind of part of it for me. I was like, I don't know. This person seems reckless.
It seems odd too that like, I don't know. Something about the like, oh hey, do you want me to return that to the cart thing for you? Like all you have to say is, oh yeah, sure, thank you. You don't have to be like, nah, it's fine. Like
I got it.
It's like somebody else is gonna do it. Well,
they didn't have the flags, by the way, which is the whole reason I went there.
Damn.
And, because I need the kind that jab into the ground, like a metal piece at the bottom, and they didn't have any. So then we went to Lowe's, and she was asking me, this wasn't like a red flag or anything, she was asking me if I thought any of these air conditioners that we were seeing in the garden section would work in her windows, and I'm like, I've never been to your apartment. And then she made a joke like, "Oh, you're trying to invite yourself to my apartment." I'm like, "No, I just don't know
you were the one who said this shit, dude."
I don't think that was a thing. I just thought that was funny. I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if any of these will fit in your window." So then, the last thing was like, I was like, "Hey, it's been really fun. We went and got ice cream like we were planning on it," and then I was like,
what flavor?
Vanilla soft serve for me, and what'd she get? I think she got not soft serve. She got the regular ice cream. I think she got fireworks, the kind that has like the pop rocks in it.
I'm gonna kill her.
Why?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I was like, whoa.
He has a really big
reaction to this.
Yeah. And so I was like, she's like, well, what are you gonna do after this? And I was like, oh, not much. I had to go to the cemetery. She's like, oh, can I come? And I was like,
not right now.
I was like, no, I gotta put like it's because I gotta eat the flowers. And she's like, no, like, can I come with you? Like, I'm having fun. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go with my mom. She's like, well, I can meet your mom. I'm like,
you can't. Not yet.
Yeah, I don't think
That-
like now. I don't think
Is
now.
the best time.
Yeah,
For that, potentially, like not a great environment
yeah.
mentally.
I said it's gonna
for
be a lot
that.
of family. She's like, oh, are you going to the cemetery to see family? I'm like, well, they're dead, so I don't, we're And then she's like, well, I can help you find them. I'm like, do you know where they are? She's like, no. I was like, well, it's really been a great time. I just don't think today's like the mood. She's like, oh, it's okay. And then like she got home, and I was like, hey, text me when you get home. And she texted me when she got home. She's like, send me pictures of the graves with the flags and the flowers on them. And I was like, does this feel weird
okay.
because she wanted to come?
In
Or-
her defense, I feel like if I was on a date with a person and they were like, hey, yeah, I gotta go to the cemetery and put some flags and flowers on something with my mom, so I gotta go and you can't come with me, I might be like, okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's why she was like, hey, can you send me a picture of that? Because she was like, I think this dude's lying to me just to get out of this date.
I
I don't know.
I
don't-
could see that.
maybe it didn't feel like that was the way it felt at the time.
That's
Okay.
fair. No, that's fair.
I didn't tell her like, hey, I have to end. It's not like we ended early. If anything,
Right.
we had went longer than we planned because I had also gone to Target. We also went to Lowe's, so we went to Target and
Sure.
Lowe's looking for this stuff. So like in my mind, I'm like, well, we already spent more time than we had cordoned off.
For this.
Yeah. So then
Right.
it was like, she said she had other stuff she wanted to do today. I said I had other things I had to do today. Like, and,
Sure.
so, I did send her a picture. And then I told her that the groundskeeper told us that we couldn't put them in the ground anyway. So it didn't matter.
Oh, damn.
So it felt like a weird date.
I mean, let's be...
Go ahead.
all things considered, for a first date, that really doesn't sound that bad. Like, it sounds like there were some strange, awkward moments, but I feel like things could have gone much worse on a first date. Just out of my...
I've had worse
Here,
first
take
dates.
that with a grain of salt, though. Like, I've also been... Today's actually my 8th wedding anniversary,
Oh,
and,
why are we recording the
you know,
podcast?
because nobody's home. It's just me,
Oh.
baby. I'm just here chilling by myself.
All right.
Wrapping,
Whoa.
bringing my work day in for a landing. Yeah, so like, take this all with a grain of salt because I have been in a committed relationship now for 14 years, I think. So like, I've been out of the game a long time, but like, it doesn't sound like it was too terrible in terms of the way first dates could go bad.
I've had worse dates for sure.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if this feels like a second date.
I feel like maybe you should just to see how, like, just to be like if it's weird again and you're like not feeling it, then like that's fine. But like, maybe just give her another shot, just to see like, oh, is it just a weird day or is this person just like reckless and kind of like
It could have been
Just-
first date nerves as well.
True.
Like maybe
you're not
maybe
the only one there on a first date.
Yeah, and like, maybe she heard you saying, "Hey, I have to wrap up this date," and maybe she was, nervous like, "Oh no, it's not going well. I'd love to try and show I'm interested still."
So let me go to the cemetery and meet your mom and help you find these
and
graves.
your dead great grandparents. She- so I feel like, if you didn't get like the ick or anything, you're still like interested, I would say at least try out a second date. First date people can always behave oddly.
All right.
True. Yeah.
And audience, of course, I'm interested in what you have to say. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully this situation's resolved by the time this comes out. You're
Well-
not like waiting for Oh, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, you want to know what they think about the situation, not about whether or not you should see this person.
Hey, you landed the plane. We're good.
Put a pin in reaching out for a second date for like just over a month.
Yeah, I'm about to say we're closer now than we used to be. These episodes are coming out. All right. So, that's it for me. Does anyone else have any other pre-movie things to talk about?
Oh, should we talk about some Idaho potatoes for a while, Alex? Because I just had some authentic, genuine Idaho potatoes.
That's right. You were a guest, not my guest, unfortunately, but you were a guest in it's hard for me to say beloved at this point. But in the state I live in, the gem state, Idaho, how was your visit?
It was good. That's
awesome.
about all I'm here to share.
All right, that's
the
fair.
Potatoes were great.
Wow.
That's good.
I would say you didn't tell me shit about it, so it couldn't have been that good.
It's because, when I got back on Monday. Yeah, well, when I got back on Monday and I was like, yo, CJ, how was your weekend? And you said, good. And then you never asked about mine.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I'm going back to look.
Yo, good morning. How was your weekend? Good. I almost finished with Final Fantasy VII Remake. No. How was your weekend, Tommy?
Hey, Tommy, how was your weekend?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. It was good. Like my best friend from growing up got married, former roommate. And the wedding was Saturday. Woke up Sunday morning and checked my photo roll and saw a bunch of selfies with friends I have zero memory of taking. Apparently, late in the night.
So they had an open bar at the wedding.
There was alcohol. And late in the night, apparently I made a point of going around and making sure I get a selfie with every friend individually.
Amazing. That's very thoughtful.
I have done that while drunk before.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good time.
Nice.
Well, you know what else was a good time?
I don't know where this is going, but it's not the Bikeriders.
Frickin' watching the Bikeriders at half speed, baby.
No.
Yeah. Wow. So you're saying that not even our company made it an enjoyable experience? You were so miserable that you would rather have not spent the time with us?
I don't even understand what you're talking about.
Wow. Deflecting. The typical maneuver by slow Jodie Comer.
Yeah, that's her nickname.
Why don't we talk a little bit about the Bikeriders presented at half speed? I think the first thing we should do, even before we talk about our experiences, I'm sure the listeners are dying to know how long CJ and I lasted.
Yes.
I was intent on inflicting punishment on Tommy for as long as I could stand it.
Inflict punishment on me for something that we agreed to in advance.
But because, you know how like sometimes you get into a fight with somebody in a dream and then you wake up mad at them?
No, I don't do that. I have a normal grapple on my dream emotions.
Okay, well, I don't. I don't, and I have a chemical imbalance
good for you.
In my dream and in real life.
Guy.
And so I had a dream that you made me watch the whole thing at half speed. So I was like, oh, Tommy's in for it. Tommy's going to make me watch this whole thing. So I was like, I'm going to be the holdout. Because going in, I felt like I was going to be like trying to pull the eject cord. And so I was like, no.
You did say you were going to make it 60 minutes of real time, I think you said. And you made it, I think, double that. Because we made it to 63 minutes of runtime before you guys both pulled the plug on
so
it.
That's like 2 hours and 6 minutes.
Before I sat down, my goal was to get to an hour of the movie.
And we did it.
You made it.
We did. That was fucking awful.
So you didn't like the movie?
No.
Wow.
No. Do you think if you watched it at normal speed, you wouldn't
I'm
like
never
it? You
watching
just didn't
it
like
again.
the presentation. Okay, fair enough.
I listen. I didn't like the presentation. I didn't like watching a movie at half speed. I will never do that again, not for science or otherwise. In all seriousness, it was fun watching with the two of you. Asterisk. When Alex stopped telling me what was going to happen in the movie right before it happened in the movie got a lot better for me. So
I think I only said something that I think I didn't really. You kept saying things that were going to happen before they happened, and I just wouldn't say anything.
I had a moment where I was like, Alex, what? Stop. And then
I remember that.
Yeah, and then
I don't remember specifically what.
I don't remember specifically what you did either, but we have a 3.5 hour recording that we could go back and watch.
Sure, we could find out the exact.
Well, CJ, I'll leave that up to you.
It was like, it would be like, oh, and this person coming up, this is who this is. I'm like, let me watch the movie! So anyway, me and Alex are good now. We had, some things in life are chemistry, and some things are geology. And Alex and me are geology. It just takes a little bit of time. I like that
analogy.
Yeah. It just took a little bit of time.
I did apologize to CJ publicly for ruining that Saturday.
It didn't ruin my Saturday.
Ruined the weekend.
No.
The month.
It ruined the whole year. What's that? No. Look. I would never do it again. I cannot, in good conscience, recommend anybody watch the movie that way. If for no other reason, I don't know what happened in the first hour. I don't understand what happened.
Well, I got good news for you. You're going to find out real soon.
Here's how much of this recap that you're about to do is from your recollection of it, or just you reading a synopsis online?
What I like to do is I pull up the movie and I just kind of skim through it.
Okay.
I don't I think at most I'll pull up like Wikipedia or IMDb just to see the cast.
Sure. Okay.
But Alex, how about you? How did you like the Bikeriders presented at half speed? You have experienced this not just at half speed, not just at full speed, but also double speed. So how is it this time around?
Sorry. So half speed, I would say, is like kind of maybe my preferred method of watching it. There's a reason. I mean, I watched it 3 times on an airplane over a span of 7 days. And there's a reason why I chose the half speed version to watch with the two of you. And I think in my letterbox, it makes everything just sort of feel like a dream sequence from a David Lynch project. So like, if you just pretend that that's what happened, that's what's happening, it's a little bit more fun to watch, I think, than trying to be like, wait, what's happening? Who's that? What's going on? If you're just like, oh, this is a fucked up nightmare of somebody that's on pills. Like, it's a little bit more like palatable, I guess. But yeah, I like it in half speed. I will also admit, like, I think in my letterbox review, I think I gave it 3 stars. And I think I said something like, it's one of the movies of all time. And that's even at full speed. It's like, I don't know. At regular speed, it's definitely less of a slog than at half speed, but it's not the best. It's a little incoherent and difficult to follow, even at regular speed.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, anyway. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about just the undertaking of creating a book or creating a movie, in a big Hollywood, big budget blockbuster, obviously, like the Bikeriders, but with, the source material being a photo book that doesn't really have a super clear narrative is like kind of a difficult undertaking, and something that I think is a really big sort of artistic swing, but sometimes you strike out. I don't know that necessarily that was a strikeout, but it was definitely like a foul ball a few rows behind home plate over the net. Like, it's, it's not a home run, but it's also not like, you swung at a pitch that was in the dirt either.
Right. Well, I guess hey, Tommy, what did you think about the movie? Well,
Tommy, what did you think about the movie?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's okay. It's fine.
Did you watch it at regular speed?
I did not know. It really feels like they were trying to do something. It felt kind of Oscar baity, and nothing that they do really.
Was it nominated for any?
I don't think so. If it did, it would have been stuff for like a costume design or hair and makeup.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't have been for anything other than that. Yeah. I mean, it feels almost to me sort of more like a passion project almost. Like Mike Nichols was just like, man, I really love this book. I really want to make it into a movie. Like, kind of just because I want to hang out with this dude and like, like the guy that made the book, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just felt really tropey, I think like halfway through we were kind of talking about where it was going to go, and we were generally in the ballpark. Like, yeah, it really, I don't know, it doesn't do anything new. I felt, and
sure,
the things that it tried to do that were, I guess, a bit more non-standard, a bit different, like the non-chronological storytelling and stuff. Like, it's been done better a million times before, and like genuinely, like not just the half speed part. I'm pretty sure this was in like the back half, like confusing at times, because there's one, because it predominantly takes place, the framing device is a series of interviews, and at one point we jump ahead like 8 years to a different interview. And then without any sort of indication, we're go back 8 years.
1965.
It's like, what was the point of that 8-year jump? Like,
right. It's like it's
just a bit jumbled.
Yeah. It's like they had to go. And that's, I was thinking about it before we started, obviously anytime you're adapting a story into something else, like into a movie, there's a series of considerations you have to make. Like, 'cause it's very difficult to fit everything in. And that is a very strange sort of point, I think, where it's like, out of all the decisions you made and all the things you left out or brought in, like, you could have also just changed the date of that bit of the interview to tell the story to fit the arc that you're like working on here.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't necessarily need to jump forward to the 70s and then go back to the 60s just because there was one little aside from the interview on tape from 1973 that explains like this bridge between these two incidents, like in the past.
Yeah, it really felt we were jumping all around in a way that destroyed the story structure. But why don't we spend some time? I'll walk us through, recap us.
Mm-hmm.
We can jump in with any thoughts as we go along. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right. CJ, you ready?
Yes.
All right. So the movie, like I just talked about, like we just alluded to, is takes the framing device of a photographer driving around the Midwest, namely the Chicagoland area, and interviewing people who were involved with this biking club. And our main players, there's really only a few characters of consequence. The main character is Jodie Comer as Kathy. Austin Butler is there as well. He is Benny. Tom Hardy is there as Johnny. They're like, I'd say the big three is Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy. And then Mike Feist is there, the guy from Challengers and the new West Side Story. He's the guy conducting the interviews, though. Yeah, the new West Side Story. He's Riff.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. And he's conducting the interviews, but is ultimately inconsequential to the plot. And I think the one other character who I think is notable is Toby Wallace as the kid. And he kind of becomes a bigger factor later in the film. But essentially, the film opens with Austin Butler being in a bar, and some dudes are like, "Oh, you can't wear those colors in here," talking about the fact what is even the name of this bikers club? I don't even remember.
The Vandals.
The Vandals. Yeah, he's wearing his Vandals jacket. They're like, "You can't be in here." They beat him up. They toss him out. And then we cut to a different scene, different time. I think this is in the past. like before then. Maybe after, I don't know. But Jodie Comer is getting interviewed by Mike Feist, and she's essentially talking about how she met the biker gang. And more or less, she met a friend at this bar, and the Vandals were all there. And she's like, this is not my crowd. But then she sees Austin Butler, and she's like, oh my God, he's the most gorgeous human I've ever seen. And essentially, they barely flirt, but then at the same time when she goes to leave, he comes out and like they're interested in each other, and she rides on the back of his bike, and it's kind of like, oh, I'm one of them now. All the other bikers like ride up and engulf them, and she's like, I was one of them now.
She's jumped in.
Yeah, she just jumped into the deep end, and she goes home. Sorry, Austin Butler drops her off at home. She's living with her boyfriend or something, and her boyfriend's like, he seems like an abusive piece of shit. Just kind of the vibe he gets. I'm sure there's some inference there as well in the film, but Austin Butler just refuses to leave. He just parks his bike outside the house and does not move. Just sits there staring at the house. Yes.
Bunch of cigarettes.
Smokes a bunch of cigarettes. That's our way of telling the passage of time. The pile of cigarettes. Just absolutely wreaking havoc on his lungs. So Jodie Comer's boyfriend's like, he's not leaving. I'm leaving now. I'll just tell him to go. And the guy ends up, whoa, what is that? The boyfriend ends up leaving. And shortly after then, Austin Butler starts riding away and blows a billion stoplights, which will bring us to talking about all the crimes committed in this movie. We'll talk about that later.
The crime counter.
Yes, our crime counter. And he, the cops he runs out of gas. The cops come and get him. Really has no consequence on anything. A lot of hanging out in this movie. Really, that's what it boils down to. Hanging out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's a good hanging out movie.
Yeah. Skipping around a little bit, they're like back to the interview. Jodie Comer's being asked, like, so how did this Vandals biker gang come to be? And she's like, well, Tom Hardy watched Rebel Without a Cause, and he just fell in love with the idea.
Loved it.
Yeah, he made his own biking club to race bikes. And then it transformed into a bikers club to chop your bikes and
to drink, hang out.
Yeah, just
Turned
hang
into
out.
The hanging out club.
Exactly. And there's like, this is kind of a stretch of the movie where there's a lot of like, tell me about this guy in the club, and tell me about this guy in the club. And there's a lot of like you were calling out, Alex, a lot of moments that are images pretty much pulled from the book. And the next scene, then we get establishes some things about the Vandals, and specifically Tom Hardy's approach to the Vandals is they're hanging out, and they have a rule in the Vandals that are, if anyone disagrees with the way Tom Hardy's running things, people can challenge him. And if they beat him in the challenge, which is essentially just like a fight, and speaking of West Side Story, they do the things like knives, no knives, fists, no fit, like, what are we using? Fists, blades, So this guy's like, hey, I got a friend up in Milwaukee who wants to join. Do you think we could start a Milwaukee chapter? And Tom Hardy's like, no, we're not interested. We don't want that expansion. Yeah. So the guy's like, all right, well, I challenge you. And they do a fight in the mud, and Tom Hardy wins.
Bites the guy.
Yeah, bites the guy, breaks his pinky. It's also around this time, like immediately after the fight, we're established. There's some like local street kids who are like, stealing hubcaps off cars. They're led by Toby Wallace, the kid, and they all want to join the Vandals, but they're too young. They're kids, and they're like, no, we're not interested. Kids don't really seem in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
Well,
go ahead.
Specifically is like, I don't know, Tom Hardy. I think that's a pretty good scene though. I like that scene a lot where he's like kind of like, okay, we're kind of glossing over a lot of subtext here, because that's also the day after Brucey's funeral, isn't it? When the kid shows up at the thing, or are you talking specifically about the?
No, I'm talking about like the
hubcap
first time,
stealing at
just
this point?
just the hubcap
Okay.
steal, just the establishing
they
that this
see
kid
him and they're like,
exists.
"Whoa!"
Yeah, this kid
Sick.
immediately falls in love.
Very enamored with the lifestyle.
Yeah. So then there's like occasional biker meetups that are like multiple biker clubs all hanging out, like a huge ass picnic. We go to one of those and there's a fight and Austin Butler punches a window and like
They talk about Shitty Pete.
yeah, he gets a thing of glass in his knuckle like Wolverine that he pulls out and he's all badass. Let's see. I think we then get a random jump forward to like 1973. This is when we kind of return back to the opening scene of I think is it when they burn the place down? Is that because of the opening scene where Austin Butler gets
Yes.
Okay. So
He gets jumped in the bar and then
Yeah.
they go back and they burn down Will Oldham's bar.
Yeah, they burn down the bar and they're standing outside watching it burn at night and like all of the cops and fire department are lined up on the sides. And they're like, they're not doing anything. He's like, no, they're afraid of us or something like that. I thought this was a pretty all right scene. I like the visual and how it was shot of like just the fire department and cops standing off to the side. I think it does a lot of, it speaks, very little is said, but just the implication of it all speaks a lot to the status that the Vandals have risen to. What else is there? Jodie Comer and Austin Butler they have their relationship. She's sad that he got beat up. She goes to what's his face? Tom Hardy, and what is she like trying to convince him to let
She's
him
like,
leave?
Look, man, no, she doesn't. She's not trying to convince him to let him leave. She's like, look, man, you've got to kick this guy out of the club. Otherwise, he's going to die. Like some dumb shit's going to happen and this dude's going to end up killed. So, like, you got to cut him loose. Otherwise, we're both going to lose him, basically.
Yeah, I remember us talking about halfway through the movie, we always like to stop and be like, all right, how's this going to, not stop, but say, like, how's this going to end? And my prediction was like, well, Austin Butler is this, rebel without a cause. He's this like he's self-destructive and it's gonna end in his death because he just went too far. And then Tom Hardy's
and that's like
sad.
the first thing anybody in the movie says about him is every time he gets on his bike he crashes.
Yes, they always talk about that.
Okay, right.
We then go back to we pretty much have another picnic scene. And that the kid guy, the Toby Wallace, he's now a little bit older. He and his friends have their own bikes that they've chopped, and they show up to the biker picnic after we watch this kid beat up like his abusive grandpa or something.
Sure.
They show up to the biker picnic. Also,
I think it's his dad.
Is it? Okay. The dude looked really old, so I assumed.
That's how I understood it.
Okay. So go another biker picnic. Now Norman Reedus is there. He's from the West Coast. I thought he was going to be
California.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a bigger role, but ultimately kind of inconsequential as well. Michael Shannon's here, ultimately inconsequential.
It's still good.
They're good.
I think Michael Shannon's performance is one of my favorite in the film.
I think that I really like Norman Reedus. Gonna be real, Michael Shannon is predominantly in the first half when it was like very much slow-mo, so it was hard to get much out of his performance.
Fair.
And Norman Reedus comes in right around the time that we swap to full speed. This is around the time we swap to full speed. And he's, Norman Reedus is in town because like one of the dudes in the Vandals swapped his colors. He didn't he didn't turn in his colors with the old place. He came out here without permission and joined, but he's like letting bygones be bygones. He's enjoying hanging around with this crew. We get more.
It's good to be among some proper fuck ups.
Yeah. And then who was it who died? Brucey? Yeah. Would you be able to talk a little bit to Brucey's death? Just a random dude who dies in this group.
Yeah, so Brucey is kind of like the second in command, basically, of the Vandals. He's kind of like Johnny's like right-hand man and sort of like the co-founder, and like he's kind of the guy that just sort of organizes stuff. There's a scene where he's like the scene where the guy challenges Johnny for the club because he wants the Milwaukee chapter. Brucey's explaining to the guys in the club, like, hey, look, like, we're going to get a phone put in here, so if you get in any trouble, you can call us at the bar, So Brucey's kind of like one of the more mature, like, members of the club, I think. Like, he's got a job. He's an electrician. Like, he's doing the stuff, but, he's, part of the club, and he's been a long-time fixture, and he's kind of like Johnny's right-hand man. And then he dies. He, like, gets in a car accident, crashes his bike into the back of a car. At least that's what we're shown anyway. And then there's a whole scene with Tom Hardy where they've sent flowers to the funeral home.
Yes.
And the funeral home saying, like, the family's refusing to accept them. The florist calls and is like, hey, man, they don't want these flowers here. And then Tom Hardy's like, well, we'll take them ourselves. And so they go to Brucey's funeral.
Yeah.
He gets spit on by the guy's mom.
Yeah, which...
There's also a scene, too, where Brucey's kind of explain. It's one of the scenes where they're sort of like, oh, what about this guy? What about that guy? Scenes where Brucey's talking about, like, my parents don't get it. They just think it all leads to crime and, immoral behavior and stuff.
Yeah, and it's, I wish that we had seen a little bit more impact that the club had on, like, the personal lives of these guys, because we're told a lot about it, but, like, we never really see the impact it has on Johnny's family or Brucey's family. We don't see the way that it takes them away from their family, because then, Brucey dies in, like, a rather pedestrian, like, no pun intended, pedestrian accident. He crashes into the back of a car. It's not like
he's out in front of him.
Yeah, it's not like he died because he was getting up to some messed up shit with the biker gang and, like, died in a fight. Like, he just crashed his bike. It was an accident. And when they go to the funeral home, the family treats them like they're the ones who killed him,
caused all of this.
Which, like, I understand, like, he wouldn't be riding the bike so much if he weren't a part of it, but maybe
probably still be riding.
It
find something else to do.
Would have been nice to see a bit more interpersonal turmoil with the people outside of the gang, more like the families and the biker gang. But yeah, they go to the funeral, they get spat on, and while they're, like, kind of commiserating, the kid shows up to their club, their hangout, and is like, hey, can we join? We, come check out our bikes. And they're like, no, you can't. Or sorry, Johnny's like, how about this? Just you, the kid, you can join. Your friends can't. And the kid's like, all right, sure, and starts walking forward. Then Johnny's like, no, that was a test. You failed. You don't leave your guys behind. So the kid is upset about this. He feels personally scorned by the club for not being able to join, and this was just more dirt in the wound. So he tries to slash up Johnny, but Johnny is able to dispose of him pretty quickly, just punch him in the stomach. Just kind of establishing this rising tension with this kid who, like, has beef with the Vandals and specifically Johnny. Then we have, like, another biker gang rally, this time at a house, and there's one guy in the biker gang. The guy who came out from California and didn't turn in his colors, who Norman Reedus was looking for.
Cal.
Yeah. He, at this party, does he get killed? Or is he just
you're thinking of Cockroach.
Oh, okay, Cockroach.
The guy that's going to leave because he wants to become a motorcycle cop, so he's got to turn his colors in.
No, I'm not thinking of Cockroach. I'm thinking of, who's the guy that they beat up with, like, the wooden fire stuff?
That's Cockroach.
What? I thought Cockroach was the dude with the short hair, who they end up who wants to be. Yeah, wait, Cockroach. Hold on a second. I'm looking at this movie and I'm seeing this scene. 3 dudes. Oh, wait, you know what? I think all 3 of these dudes are in the... Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Cockroach, he's a member of the gang. He wants to leave, like Alex said, and become a motorcycle cop because he's like, he has a family, wants to have a career, and being a motorcycle cop allows him to still do the thing he loves in riding a motorcycle, but he's on, the right side of the law. And some dudes are they from California, like Norman Reedus's crew? Or I guess doesn't really matter too much.
They're like the new members of the club, like the dudes that are coming back from Vietnam and stuff.
Okay.
That are sort of pushing the club in a more violent sort of direction.
Yeah. It's around this time that like more people, the Vandals is really blowing up. It's getting big, and kind of Johnny's starting to kind of lose control. It's not all of this. It's not this strictly tight knit group of longtime friends who have the same values.
A lot of chapters in other places.
Yeah, other chapters are starting to form, which will be important soon. But essentially, these dudes who came over from Vietnam and joined, they like beat the shit out of Cockroach, almost kill him. While Johnny and Benny and the dudes are responding to this, some other dudes, like, they attempt to essentially rape Kathy, but they are stopped. Tom Hardy is able to come back in time and stop them. And it's just going to show, like, the Vandals are sliding. It's getting rough. Yeah. It's getting bad. So now Johnny and Benny, Tom Hardy and Austin Butler are like, Tom Hardy's really like, we've got to help Cockroach. Like, we got to take care of Cockroach, he says. And they make it seem like, they get a gun. They make it seem like they're going to go out and kill Cockroach. But essentially, when they go out, turns out, no, this is a bit of a setup. Cockroach knows they're coming. And this is to stage, make it look like he barely gets away with his life or something. I guess, what's the exact reasoning on this?
I don't exactly know. They kind of just stage it to make it look like a home invasion, like somebody broke in and tried to kill him or something, or, just to kind of
So like
make it at least seem like they didn't just let him go.
Yeah, he has a valid out. I can't ride the same, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So they go and they help out Cockroach by shooting him in the leg, and they go back, and throughout the back half of this movie, Tom Hardy is wanting Austin Butler to take over the Vandals. Tom Hardy's like, this needs to pass on to someone, and Austin Butler, you are the guy. You are, like, the next in line. You are the person that everyone looks to that isn't me. You're the other person that they all look to see how they respond. Like, you have the respect of them all. But Austin Butler's like, no, I can't. And
I won't.
Yeah, and Benny himself is like disturbed by how violent they're all getting and not a fan. So he just up and quits. And it's like right after this, Tom Hardy, he has fewer and fewer familiar faces around him. They're hanging out at the bar, and the kid shows back up, and he's like, hey, I'm a Vandal now. I joined the Milwaukee chapter. And I forget the exact reason why. If is it just the reason he challenges it just because he wants control of the Vandals?
He just says, we don't like the way you're running things.
Yeah. So he challenges Johnny to a knife fight, blades. So Tom Hardy kind of goes around and gets his affairs in order, but not really. Like, he just says bye to his wife. I'll be back later. He goes
pick up some eggs. I don't want to go out again.
Yeah, he goes to Jodie Comer and is like, hey, Benny quit. He left. He's probably in Indiana or something. And then he goes to this abandoned lot where they're gonna do the slash 'em ups. And he takes out his knife and he's walking towards the kid, and then the kid just takes out a gun and shoots him. He just guns him down. And now the kid is in charge because he has a gun, and he's like looking at the dudes who accompany Tom Hardy, and they don't have guns. And they're like, okay, you're the guy.
All right, well.
And essentially then it kind of begins an epilogue of here's where all these dudes ended up, including like Cockroach did end up becoming a motorcycle cop. Some of the dudes hung around in the Vandals and just kind of followed it all. Austin Butler, he ends up kind of drifting around and winds back up to returns to Jodie Comer. And then the two of them decide to move to Florida. And
the classic Florida to Chicago to Florida pipeline.
yes, and
Undefeated.
Yeah, and I think it's like revealed that this is where the 1973 interview is happening, is in Florida.
At their home.
Yeah. And, you know, essentially Benny's like, he's stopped writing. I should say Benny, like Austin Butler returned home and like kind of went to Jodie Comer because of Tom Hardy's death.
Yes.
That's how they were reunited over Tom Hardy's death. But they moved to Florida. Benny stops riding and he's just a mechanic now. And like Jodie Comer's saying like, yeah, we're really happy. And he doesn't miss it. You know, we love this life we have. And then it cuts outside and Austin Butler's sitting there having a brewski with a buddy. And then there's
his cousin, I think, or something, right?
Sure. And then
that owns the mechanic shop.
I believe it.
How I understood it.
And then there's some motorcycles heard off in the distance, and Austin Butler smiles. Turns out,
and
maybe he does miss
Shangri-Las out in the street.
Yep. And then we get a little collage of photos from or I guess like during the credits, we see some of the photos from the book. Mm-hmm. And that's the Bikeriders. Woo!
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah, how did I do?
I thought you did pretty well.
Thank you. And CJ?
You did good.
Thank you. I wanted to say the part like leading it was, but wow, watching this in half speed, let me just talk about this. Watching this in half speed absolutely demolished any pacing this movie has. Like,
it's not great like otherwise. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like it's even at full like I feel bad because I know that like neither of you will probably ever watch this film again, but like it's not great like pacing wise. Even at regular speed, it's kind of like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? And it's like, oh shit, all this stuff's happening all of a sudden. Like, damn, okay.
And
so, but it's like I feel bad that like you don't get to experience just kind of how much of a mess it is.
Well,
at regular speed.
I'm personally not writing off ever watching this again. I feel like there might be another viewing at some point in the distant future. But the thing for pacing that really, the way it throws it off is I made a note that like 53 minutes into the movie, which is shortly after Austin Butler gets jumped, and when Jodie Comer goes to confront Tom Hardy's like, you need to let him leave. You need to kick him out. That really feels like the climax when you're watching it at half speed.
Sure.
Like, it felt like the rest of the movie was practically falling action. But yeah, the half speed really did a number on it. And I agree. I think the thing, though, that it did a number on most was the people's voices. How could we all sit here for a moment and just do our best Jodie Comer at half speed impressions?
Nah, you don't understand. He got the idea from watching it in a movie.
How about you, Alex?
Just okay, here we go. Here's the thing. I have like done this bit on my own, like kind of in my own head and like out loud, like plenty of times on my own, so I was ready for this. They're all just a bunch of candy asses. They're all just candy ass.
I'm his wife. If he's out there still, he's gonna get killed. It was just the best listening to her accent at half speed. My God, especially the thick she was laying it on thick with that Midwest accent.
They were really swinging for the fences with that one.
Yeah. Now, CJ, I'm noticing that you didn't really chime in during the recap, and I wanted to call out a quote that you said right before we started. I was like, CJ, how you feel about talking about this movie? And you said, and I quote, I don't know anything about this movie.
No, I don't know anything about this movie.
So what are some things you do remember?
Once we got to full speed, the memories start coming back. I basically remember her almost getting raped onward.
Okay. So that's like the last, I want to say like 30 minutes, if not less.
Yeah, that's kind of when it starts to wrap it up.
Thank God.
Well, even though you don't remember much of the movie, do you have any favorite performances in it.
I like the guy who was in Narcos, not the guy that wasn't in Narcos, the other guy.
Oh, what's his name?
Boyd.
Yeah, he played the
Boyd
main
Holbrook.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cal, I think is the name of that character.
Mm-hmm.
I like
These big carburetors.
I like Dewey Crow. He was
These
good.
beautiful
Dewey Crow?
Italian carburetors.
Who was
Yeah,
Dewey Crow?
He's the guy that died by getting hit by the car.
Brucey.
Oh, Brucey. Rip Brucey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that really how Tom Hardy talks? Because, like, it's that or Bane.
I mean, it does seem. Have you seen Venom?
No.
Okay.
Did you ever see Legend?
I did.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I've
It
seen
seems
Legend.
like, his voice is a bit of a higher register. This to me sound like, because he's English, right? This to me sounded like, when I picture Tom Hardy's American accent, this is what I think of. Is pretty much what we heard here. It's like, slightly higher in the register. I feel like when I've heard him speak with his natural accent or different accents, he has a bit deeper of a voice. But yeah, I think this is what he sounds like when he's speaking with an American accent.
I could see that.
As I've gotten older, I used to think that British people were much better at doing American accents than the other way around. But then I learned that they just do one accent. So they get away with it once. And
then that becomes their default.
And then, so it's like, then everybody sounds like that one person. And it's like, I feel like you're not acting anymore. You're just doing this one character.
And I think a thing, too, with the British, too, is like, in the UK, there's so many specific, like, regional accents. But then when it comes time for them to do, like, an American accent, they kind of just, like, hit some sort of, like, default that's, like, not very specific. Or is either hyper specific or is just, like, not very specific at all. I don't know how to describe this thought I'm having.
So you're saying either they are very specific or they're very not specific. Aren't those the two options?
Well, it's more like they're either do like a southern accent or like a midwestern, and that's kind of like it, I guess is what I'm like saying.
I have a friend who's from London, and he can exclusively do a southern accent. And if I ever ask him, like, hey, can you do my accent? And he goes, hell no, I don't even know how to do that. Where to even begin?
Well, isn't
so
the
I hear what
accent the most British of them because it's a rhotic?
Probably.
It's a rhotic accent because it doesn't do the R's.
Yeah. Like, I think I understand what you're saying now. Like, it's either hyper specific, like they do one specific small regional accent, or it's just the most like almost newscaster thing,
Yeah.
Like they have their American accent is so generic and so general that it almost doesn't sound like an American accent.
Right.
It's so nondescript.
Or it's just as generic American.
Yeah. That being said, Jodie Comer is English as well, and she did narrow in on the hyper specific one.
She did.
I thought I was gonna say I thought it was pretty convincing. It definitely slipped at a couple spots, but I think pretty good in total.
I wonder too how much of that has to do with the fact that, they have, there's recordings of this woman, Kathy, talking to Danny Lyon, so like she could listen to the tape and be like, okay, this is what this lady sounds like, and figure out kind of like reverse engineer how to like mimic that accent, I think. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kind of trying to like work with an existing like idea instead of having to like, create this whole thing just out of nothing, out of thin.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be one of those situations where moving forward, whenever she does a, like you guys were talking about, like
does that Chicago accent.
Yeah. If there's going to be hints of it in any future American roles, American accented roles, I'm curious if that'll be the case for her.
Guess we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
See how it works.
So, a little bit ago, before we did the recap, we said this movie, did it reach a smoking point, or did it catch fire?
It never
fully
quite
caught
does.
fire. Did it reach
Yeah.
a smolder?
I mean, it smolders from the fucking first time you got old boy on camera there, Austin Butler. He's smoldering the whole
I
time.
guess he does have a physical
kind of
smolder on his face. Yeah.
It's kind of like the only thing. Like, he kind of feels, I think I said this in my Letterboxd review, he sort of feels like he's trying to do like a cross between Steve McQueen and like James Dean, but he just never quite gets there with either of those.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kind of leads a lot of him kind of like having his eyes half open and sort of like pouting a lot. I felt like.
I feel like a lot of it isn't just his portrayal, but also the way his character's written. Because I feel like his character's not really given much.
No, he's really not.
He's
possibly the most underutilized Austin Butler has been in a role in a while.
Yeah, it's almost like
And I also feel like the film, I said this in my Letterboxd review too, like it seems to kind of struggle to find any sort of like emotional center. Like, is the emotional center like this his relationship with Kathy? Is the emotional center his relationship to the club? His relationship with Johnny? Like, which of these things am I supposed to be like kind of focused on? And then they just kind of all like sort of fall flat of really delivering any sort of like weight, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. His character almost, not quite, almost feels like an afterthought. You know, I say not quite because like he is
the whole
very central to the film.
Sort of feels listless in a way.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't quite know where it's trying to go and stuff. And I think, kind of to go back to what I was saying earlier, and I think maybe even during the show, about just the difficulty of adapting this sort of thing to a story, right? It's like they had all these tapes of these interviews with Kathy, right? There's no interviews of Benny. Like, Danny Lyon just never got this guy on tape telling his part of the story. So they're also kind of trying to tell a story from one side and one point of view, and then like having all these sort of ancillary players in it, you know, through like the character of Cal and Michael Shannon's character and stuff like that. And so it's just sort of like, what the fuck's going on here? You know, it is a little bit disorienting at times, even at full speed.
And to your point about it like feeling like kind of listless, like, you know, movies can feel listless but still feel impactful in a way if they have more to say, but it doesn't, like, what all is this movie saying? You know?
Right. Just sort of like, motorcycle group kind of go bad.
Yeah.
Be careful. Like, that's really sort of it, seems like, almost.
Yeah. So we, during the film, started keeping track of all of the crimes committed.
Yes.
And I want to say, oh wait, looks like we fell off from doing this about halfway through when the kid strangles his dad grandpa.
Listen,
So
I think the crimes, the point was, I said, this is a criminal enterprise, and Alex says, no, not really. They don't do a lot of crimes. And I'm like, it's a fucking biker gang. And then we started counting the crimes.
But none of those crimes are generating revenue for the club, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's not what you said.
I guess
that could be what you meant. That's not what you said.
All right, fair enough. That's fair. I sometimes don't always say the things I mean. I have trouble articulating myself at times, and I apologize for that.
Well, you just took all the air out of the bit. Okay.
I think there's still. So for the crimes, I want to go through these that just happened in the first half, because this is like how it starts, and then it only goes downhill in the back half. The first one, big one, speeding through a school zone. Can't believe him.
Unforgivable.
I know. That coupled with evading police and blowing red lights all in this one chase totaled to 18 traffic violations, 7 red lights ran, 85 mile an hour driving in 2 school zones. Got a lot of that right off the rip. There was some battery, but we put a question mark on it because there's Tom Hardy and Happy Anderson doing a punch 'em ups in the mud. And I think we were kind of waffling on whether or not that counts as battery because, they agreed to fight.
Right.
We have that one kid stealing hubcaps. Same goes with vandalism. They were breaking some headlights and destruction of property and menacing. I think we threw that around as a crime. Then at one of the picnics, there's more battery. There's disturbing the peace. There's destruction of property when Austin Butler punches the glass. There's assault. There's a lot. We get a good old face slashing in when the kid and Tom Hardy get into the little thing where he's like, oh, let me join. We get some possession of switchblades. That's a big one. That's a big one.
That's true. We forgot about that.
Can't forget that we were riding with a suspended license. We also got some arson in there. And then the list ended at the attempted strangulation by the hubcap kid. Man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's at least like 16, 17 in just the first like 50 minutes alone.
Yeah.
Would you guys, if you lived in 1965, before, the Vietnam War ended, before all that, would you guys join the Vandals?
No.
I might.
No?
See, that's interesting because I was like, CJ could do a Bikeriders.
I can't ride a bike.
You could learn.
I feel
It's
like,
not that difficult.
and I feel like motorcycles, what is harder to ride, a motorcycle or a bike?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. I think that's definitely like the thing with a motorcycle is that it has the clutch. It's like the clutch is a little tricky to learn because you have to activate the clutch with your hand and work the gearbox with your foot, which can take a little bit of a learning curve. Like something with a scooter that just has like a continuously variable transmission or like no gears is like a little bit easier to learn. Like kind of the feel of it, but it's like, I don't know. It's all pretty easy. I mean, riding a Harley Davidson like street glide just almost feels like you're sitting on a sofa barreling down the street at 40 miles an hour.
Interesting. That's how I like my sofa experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
100%.
have a thing about I just won't ride a motorbike. So I couldn't
That's
do
fair.
this one.
Couldn't
That's
do it
fair.
strictly out of you're against motorbikes?
Yeah. My uncle
right.
was in a really bad
It's like they
motorcycle
say.
crash.
Fair
It's
enough.
the fastest way to the ER is on a motorcycle.
Then why don't they replace all the ambulances with...
Hi-oh.
So let's see. What else is on here? How about this? I think this is the last question, the penultimate question I'll ask before we get into the titular question. Do you guys have any individual favorite scenes?
Something that's always stuck with me, aside from Jodie Comer just saying, oh, they're all just a bunch of candy ass. Like that part, this for whatever reason, the scene where Tom Hardy's arranging the fight with the kid and he's like, there's a parking lot out by the lake. Like, I don't know, something about the way he says that and delivers that line I always just really liked.
How about you, CJ?
The scene where the credits rolled. Actually,
I knew it.
What's the last thing that happened that I predicted? That was funny.
That
was the hardest I've ever heard you laugh.
Show up with a gun.
No, it was no. It was at the very end when
Jodie, he was like, "Oh, there's gonna be a motorcycle ride by, and he's gonna smile."
And that happened exactly because I was just like, "Oh my god!" the calling of just hearing the motorcycles and it killed me. It killed me.
Yeah, I had a similar moment this weekend, or just the other day, CJ, where I was like, I said, "Oh, what is blankety blank gonna happen?" And then the character in the TV show straight up was like, blankety blank. And I was like, oh, fuck! Like, oh my God. Like, that's amazing.
Pulled a CJ.
Yep, I did. I CJ'd the shit out of it, and I was so excited.
Personally, my favorite scene, I really like the scene when Norman Reedus shows up and they're sitting around the campfire. And they're like, so what you doing out here? And he's just like, well, that guy over there.
I came to fuck him up.
Yeah, he's like, I came out. And like, I felt that was a really well done, tense scene where you're like, Because he ultimately is like, nah, I'm not gonna. He's like, nah, I'll let it slide.
Shit his pants.
Yeah, I really like that scene. I thought that was a really well done kind of like menacing scene, and just the way they like dressed and makeup and presented Norman Reedus. I think
the production design in this movie, I feel like, is one of the bright spots.
Yeah, he was intimidating. Like, I think I commented during the movie, like, I don't know if they had him wearing like tall boots or put him on a box, but like, you know, he's an average height dude, but he looks enormous in this movie. Not like, you know, 6'5", but he looks like he's like over 6 foot and just a hulking individual, like probably like exceeding, I don't know, 230 pounds of muscle. Like, this dude just looks large. He's wearing layers and layers on layers of jackets. And just it really added to his aura in this scene, and
For sure.
believing. And they really blackened up his gums from all the smoking. Just very
Looks
intimidating
like,
presence.
You ever see, oh God, what's that? Wild at Heart?
I have not.
Willem Dafoe's character. It's good. If you have, once you get into your David Lynch arc,
Okay.
Wild at Heart's a good one.
Oh, that's the one with what's her face from Jurassic
Nick
Park?
Cage, Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Laura Dern's in a bunch of his movies, but yeah, that's the one with Nick Cage and Laura Dern, and Willem Dafoe's in it. Probably some other people I can't think of at the moment.
Gotcha.
It's a good
Well, do you guys have anything else to add about this film before we move on to the next question?
Ask
I
me.
don't think about the film, but I just want to, again, thank you guys for letting me come on your show. It's been like a little kind of a bucket list thing of mine to be a guest on a podcast, so this has been great, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
Alex,
Yeah,
it's
thank you
been a
for joining
pleasure.
us. It has.
And putting up with my dumb fucking idea.
I'm only gonna not say something a few more times if you keep mentioning it was a dumb idea. I'm being graceful. That was
Alright,
a
fair
joke.
enough.
Jesus.
So, how did we feel about this film? Was it okie dokie?
Fuck no. But because we watched it on half speed, I have no clue if it was okie dokie or not.
Inconclusive okie dokie.
I don't
Okay.
feel like I watched the movie.
I think
That's fair.
I think that means you just got to pull a Tommy Ruski and watch it again.
No.
How about you, Alex?
I think it's fine. Like, I think like if you go in with no expectations and you're just like, okay, I'll go on whatever this journey is. It's fine. It's okie dokie.
You're
But it's not.
saying
I
yes,
guess. I
it's
don't
okie dokie? By your standards, is it okie dokie? Yes or no?
I think I'm going to say no.
All right. No. And I myself, you know, I got to say, I really enjoyed that Norman Reedus scene.
No, you
So
didn't.
I think
So that scene saved the movie for you?
I think I'm locking in the Bikeriders is not okie dokie.
Okay.
Mm.
A unanimous.
So we have a consensus at
three-
least.
Is that the
Okay.
first 3 thumbs down?
That is
Three
the
Noki-
first 3
that's
Noki
a- That's an
Dokis.
official Noki Doki.
Yes, that is our first triple Noki Doki. Wow.
I'm hoping, though, that us all being like, yeah, will encourage some people just out of spite to be like, well, it can't be that bad, and watch it.
At half speed, of course.
If
Do
they
not.
watch it at half
I
speed,
swear to God,
will
if I
Do
find
it.
out that
Do
you are at
also
home,
send them a prize.
if you go home and you watch this at half speed, I will be fucking mad at you. All right.
You should do it.
Yeah, you. Not you, the person behind you. Yeah, that guy. Hey.
It's not for the faint of heart.
How about we talk about the Rec Room?
All right. This is
I'm-
where we talk about things we've been engaging with lately,
Yes.
things we recommend to the audience.
I'm gonna keep it.
Would this be a time that I could perhaps bid you to farewell? I have children to pick up.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Give us one thing you've engaged with lately that you would recommend to people.
Okay.
Though. One thing.
That I would recommend to people.
Yes.
So I've been doing a thing. I've done a thing for the last few years, or I did a thing in 2021. I'm gonna try and keep this brief. Where So at the end of 2020, I realized, man, I've really just been listening to the same like 6 or 7 bands for the last like 10 years. Like I wasn't listening to like, oh, the album my favorite band put out 10 years ago. I was keeping up with their new stuff, but I also was like, oh, I'm really just kind of cycling through like the same 10 bands and the same 20 albums kind of infinitely. So in 2021, I decided, like, you know, it was towards the end of 2020, I had this realization. And so I decided, okay, in 2021, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and every week I'm going to listen to 2 albums that are new to me. I'm going to listen to one that was released anytime prior to 2015. And I'm going to listen to an album that was released between 2015 and now, which at the time was 2020. So I did that, and I did it for an entire year. I missed one album, like the week of Christmas. I didn't listen to something new, like from 2015 to present. And that was a very rewarding thing for me. I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, this is actually really cool to do. And then last year, towards the end of the year, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do that again. So I've started doing it again this year. I've been listening to 2 new albums every week. And it's been really good. It's been a lot of fun. I've spent the year for some of my older stuff. I've been listening to a lot of like Spanish music and stuff, like music from Africa and things like that. And this time though too, for the modern stuff, it's anything from 2020 to now is like the stuff I've been listening to. So I'm catching a lot of albums that I missed when they were released. I'm able to, you know, it's giving me motivation to keep up on new releases from artists I've followed or have been interested in for a while. So it's been a pretty cool thing. It's been a lot of fun. I have a Google spreadsheet I keep that's a list of everything I've listened to with some thoughts. And that's been a really kind of fun and good way to get out of that sort of rut of just listening to the same bands and the same music.
Very cool.
And it's been pretty great, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Rec. We'll let you go. We don't want to tie you up any longer.
Course.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Of course. Thanks again for having me.
Yep.
Appreciate you both. And, you know, if there's ever a chance for me to come back, I'll do it. I'm going to start paying attention to these Oscar
At
things so I
double
can win
speed
again next year.
time.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh.
All right. Bye,
All
Alex.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you guys.
All right. And CJ, how about you? What have you got to recommend today?
I was going to ask if we could take a bathroom break.
Oh, yeah? You don't think you
Yeah.
can power through like 3 minutes?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Well, you said that was like I want to say Big Brother. It was kind of Big Brother mode.
That's me, Big Brother.
Always watching me pee.
This is true as well. All those cameras I installed when I was over last.
Yep.
So what have you got to recommend for us, CJ?
All right, I got 2 things. I'm going to keep it quick. The first thing
Yes.
is I played Final Fantasy VII Remake. I never played a Final Fantasy game. I will say that what I've learned about Final Fantasy is that they are Final Fantasy games are like assholes. Everyone has a favorite, and everybody else's opinion stinks to everybody else. I have been recommended that the first game I played should have been 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 12, 14, and 16. So what I've learned is just jump in anywhere. It doesn't actually matter.
Yep.
I really enjoyed my experience. People have told me that it's more of an ARPG than like a tactical RPG, which is more true to the actual franchise. I don't care. I had fun playing it. People told me it's not faithful to 7. I don't care because I don't know anything about 7. I had a lot of questions coming out, but it was enough. There was enough there, and it was exciting that it made me want to play Rebirth. So I am looking forward to getting that when I get paid next. So that'll be something that I'll be looking forward to. And then the other thing that I'm going to recommend is Andor. I am not finished yet. I have 3 episodes to go, but I've been powering through while I've been eating dinner and before I go to bed, and I have 3 episodes left. I actually sent you a message last night. I was upset thinking that episode 9 of season 2 was the finale and was like, wow, that's fucking dumb. That's how the show ends. And I'm glad it's not how the show ends. It was a cool episode, not how I wanted the show to end. So I'm really excited. I think Andor is probably the best Star Wars thing they've made in this Disney Plus environment overall. Although Mandalorian is probably my favorite. I think Andor is
that
the
one
best.
just strikes a chord with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do
Very
like
nice.
them. I do like have gun will travel type stories. So
Yeah. Speaking on your Final
go ahead.
Fantasy real quick, I wanted to agree with you in that, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. My roommate is also a huge Final Fantasy fan. We talk about the series a lot, and he and I are both in agreement that Final Fantasy fans in general, like especially online, really suck because they all have their one specific favorite, which is typically the first one that they ever played. And anytime there's a new one, they just trash it because they think it sucks, just because it's not the best in the series, even though all of them are pretty freaking good. Like, I think only one of them, I was like, it was okay. Most of them I really enjoyed.
What was the one that you thought was just okay?
Final Fantasy IV.
So what's so funny is my sister's boyfriend, I was talking to him about how everybody has this Final Fantasy thing. And I told him that my friend, who is the biggest Final Fantasy fan that I know, his name is Chris. Shout out Chris if you're listening. He told me to play 5. Like 5 would be my first one. And I told that to Chris, and he said, "Wow, geez, really? I can't believe someone told you to do that. That seems like a really difficult one. I would have told you to play 4." And so it's just funny. It's like the way that you're saying, it's like, and now you're telling me the one that you thought was just okay was 4.
Yeah.
So it's
but
just,
again, it just proves the point. Like, they're all so different.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying 4 is bad. It just wasn't for me. I didn't like the story as much. But now you have a taste for what Final Fantasy fans are like. And if you're listening to this, like, truly, if you want to play a Final Fantasy game, just pick whichever one seems most interesting to you. Like, look at the aesthetics of them and pick one. Look at what the gameplay is like and just pick one. It doesn't really matter. There's no correct first one to play as. And anyone who says that there is being kind of gatekeepy to you. So you should just pick one and play it.
Mhm.
As for my recs, I want to recommend 2 films I've seen recently. The first one is a new film that just came out called Friendship. This is a movie directed by Andrew DeYoung that stars Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. And this movie feels like it was absolutely just crafted to tickle my funny bone. In it, Tim Robinson is a very socially inept person who doesn't really have many friends. And Paul Rudd moves down the street and is a really generally pretty cool dude. He's like a local weatherman, and he shows Tim Robinson a lot of kindness, and Tim Robinson just goes off the deep end with this friendship and just kind of oversteps a lot of boundaries.
Mhm.
If you like I Think You Should Leave, this feels like an extended I Think You Should Leave skit. Though that being said, I do think that this has a lot more appeal than just I Think You Should Leave, because it is very much about, like, you know, Paul Rudd serves as a great grounding force to him as the straight man. And having Paul Rudd as that through line, I think will make this movie a lot more accessible to a general audience than I Think You Should Leave. That's not to say, CJ, I think you would like it. I think you would struggle with a lot of the humor in it. But I really love this. Jade enjoyed it as well. So that's the first one I wanted to recommend. The second thing I wanted to recommend, and last thing, is a little film you maybe have heard of called The Matrix. I just watched this for the first time ever recently.
Really?
Yeah, I knew a lot about it. I learned a lot about it. I wasn't really surprised by much in the film. I think there were a couple things where I was surprised how it played out. It's good. It's a great film. I can see its influence. I don't think it's perfect. I there's a romance angle to it that I think felt kind of tacked on and half-baked. But generally, I thought it was really great. If you've somehow not seen it, check it out. Check it out. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best movie ever, but it was really good. It was really good. Enjoyed it. But those are my 2 recommendations. So why don't we find out what's next time on the show, CJ? I think this is where you come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you know this was part 1 of our 2-part duology on movies that feature bikes?
No, I did not.
Yes. Yes. I actually, after that, I feel like I just want to wash my mouth out with Listerine.
Okay.
And so the next time on the Film is Okie Dokie, we'll be watching the movie that makes me laugh like no other movie in the planet. That's My Boy.
Whoa! We're watching the foundational movie, the first movie we bonded over.
Yes. And we have to now revisit whether or not it is Okie Dokie, a thing that I actually am a little bit dreading figuring out.
Oh, I feel like I know where I'm going to end up, but I hope to prove myself wrong.
I feel like I know where you're going to end up too. Like a glimpse into the future, but I will save judgment for later.
Yes.
Thank you to everybody for listening to The Film is Okie Dokie. Thank you for Alex for being a guest on our show. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. If you only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe that you are a hater. Shout out to Bomani Jones at Wave Sports and Entertainment for the quip. As always, I've been CJ.
I've been Tommy.
And this is The Film is Okie Dokie. Now, get lost.
Bye.
Bye.